Hi, everybody, and welcome to Conscious Talk TV. And I'm your host, Linda Summers, and we are providing information to bring awareness to humanity. And today's topic is living a life of abundance and freedom with Lawrence Wendell, who is simply being and sharing the love that he has. So, Lawrence, thank you for joining the show. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing wonderfully. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
No greater joy than sharing that.
Yeah, well, it's great because I mean, this is, we're in the ascension. We'll talk some about that, and so it's just good to have you guys, viewers, you and other people on the show to really bring this truth and this this information, I guess, that you have that we can help everyone to awaken to the truth and the reality. So I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what I'm here to share is in a real nutshell is that the Creator is alive and well in each and every one of us.
Yes.
And I have found that to be the most amazing thing to be able to wrap your heart and your mind around. And it only happens when we can open them up.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through a lot of stuff to find that part of me that's always wanted to come forth and live vicariously through my body, or this body, its body. I mean, it's not like I'm separate from it. It gave us an opportunity to separate itself. Gave the ego a chance to be separate from the one that we are, separate from each other, but yet in a collective environment, like it's called, well, the solar plexus is it's the third dimension or third density experience of a collective consciousness. And now we're stepping into a sovereign realm where each and every one of us can have our own reality. That as long as, the only law that there is, or only rule that there is the law of one. I mean, really, it's it boils down to, that covers the whole thing in a nutshell. It's like, you are a part of me, and everyone's an expression or an aspect of all that I am. Yeah. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, it's everything. And that's what we all are. I mean, to my own parents right now, I'm pretty much darkness to them. I mean, because they don't know who their son is anymore.
What happened to Lawrence?
Yeah. Well, he decided to sit back and let someone else take over. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's go back to your journey, because it's one thing we can talk about that, and people are like, well, how do I arrive to that place? And your journey, I know, I've watched your other interview, and we've talked, we've shared and talked. And so, but can you share with us, like, your own awakening and how you arrived to that place?
Yeah. It was one of those things where I had, it just came to me out of the boredom or the pattern that my life had held, that just became very repetitive and boring. And, I had my own business for 20 some years, and, I'd make money and borrow money from the bank and to pay taxes. And then I'd work all year to pay that loan off. And it's just been this squirrel, the squirrel cage thing where you just, keep spinning this wheel, and it's like, wow. And then, my business started taking off and doing really wonderfully. And my life was wonderful because my job was more like a passion, a joy. It was not like, it was the most beautiful thing I could ever do, because I traveled the world and I spent my time on golf courses at sunrise, with the superintendent, because I was a glorified lawn boy, a landscaper. And I found myself, everything going good on everything else in my life, except for this relationship I wanted with, to bring together with my wife that never was. And the harder I tried, the harder, the more toxic it became. And it's like, that's when the Kundalini or everything started awakening within me, because I had to go through a lot of stuff to go through the process of letting something go that I was clinging to that was not meant to be. Because of this time frame that we're in, I had to let go. Well, at least from my perspective, maybe there's another way. But so what happened is I'd been through so much in my own business, the rise and near collapse of it, and then the rise of it again, and that I got to this point where I started letting go of things that no longer worked for me. And in that process, I found myself getting lighter and lighter and more empowered and emboldened. And at the same time, I'm reading all kinds of spiritual books and, hooking up with the law of one. And, the stuff about spaceships and things like, wow, this is great. And it's like, it took me into a whole nother world. And then all of a sudden I'm at work in 2008, before the financial collapse, and I pulled all of my retirement funds and bought gold. And then the collapse came, and I knew that I was being guided. I knew something was orchestrating my awareness into things. So I started letting go of more and more things. And, I let go of the wife and this aspect of the business that wasn't working. And then I let go of the business and let go of the house and started letting go of everything, and went on this journey to meeting scientists and doctors and gurus, and because I was blessed with the resources to go explore and discover, because I knew there was something that was helping me connect dots of this mosaic that was putting together a beautiful picture of a reality that's so much grander than we've been conditioned to believe in this world. So I started leaving that world. And then one day I got 3 years after my divorce, I got a phone call from Discover Bank. This is after finding out about waking up that this world is not what it seems, and it's like it's going in this ugly, really dark direction. It's like, wow, I can't sit idly by knowing what I know and do nothing about it. So I found out a lot about the financial system and the judicial system and how it's all tied together in a slavery system. And next thing I know, I'm getting a call from Discover Bank, and they want to collect $14,000 from my ex-wife's credit card bankruptcy. Well, I said to the lady on the other end of the phone, I said, I'm sorry, but my divorce decree holds me harmless from any debt she'd incurred, because we were debt-free upon the divorce. And she says, oh, I'm sorry, sir, but your divorce decree falls under state law and we're under federal law. And I said, oh boy, this is really great. What good does the damn thing do then? Really? So I says, you're barking up the wrong tree here. I says, there's no way I'm going to pay you this. What are my options here? She says, oh, you don't have any. You know what your options are? Your options are to go sue your ex-wife for the $14,000, because we're coming after you for it, sir.
Wow.
I says, I'm sorry, but you're barking up the wrong tree. You want me to go sue a woman who's down on her luck, the mother of my 2 daughters. And
right.
It's like, wow, what a way to put a wedge in between families and stuff, all over money. Right. So I put this thing out to the universe. I said, hey, help me understand the gift that's hiding behind the appearances here, because I already come to know through the teachings of Ra, the law of one, and all the other Carla Ruckert channelings. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. She's no longer here with us anymore, but anyway, I knew there was nothing but good. So I went about my journey with that in mind through the whole thing. And that was the important thing, is to know that there's nothing out to get me or to happen to me, but rather for me.
Mm.
And if we can perceive it, receive it from that mindset, that perspective, guess what? Ask and you shall receive. The information comes flowing in. And this is what started happening to me. And so this woman calls me or contact me on Facebook. Well, you want to check out this guy? And so I looked on YouTube and I followed this guy and I'm like, wow. Next day I was on a flight to San Francisco to a conference, and I started going to his conferences, and I'm watching people, hundreds of people getting in line. And when we're in Vegas conferences, LA conferences, all around, and hundreds of people are getting in line with the titles to their cars and the deeds to their homes because they're discharging all their debt. And
Wow.
here's how you do it and all this stuff. And I'm just going, oh, and then I'm meeting all these people and we're finding out that, the whole thing's a lie. And so I at that, one of those conferences, I got my affidavit of status. I did away with my government ID and got an affidavit of status declaring my sovereignty as a sovereign being, aside from the corporate fiction, and went on this path of letting go of those contracts, those agreements. And I went ahead and discharged my debt through a lawful process at the time. And as soon as I did that, then they changed the laws. Now you're going to become licensed to do that. It's like, there's no doing this stuff. Don't anybody try doing what I'm doing. It's all going away. Or you could just let go of that. In fact, that's the easy thing, because you don't need to know nothing. You just need to know who you are. And that all these beliefs, any beliefs that we hold that hold us or bind us in any form of limitation, is a false narrative that the Almighty has given me and you, the one that resides in you, permission to let go of or release attachment to. But the only thing that's going to keep us holding on to the shores of that old paradigm while the river of light comes flowing through to carry us away to a new reality, the thing that will free you is to simply let go of those beliefs. And it's when it gets down to simplicity, I'm just here to tell you that it's all in your trust in God, as it says on the dollar bill. In God we trust. The truth is hidden in plain sight right on the dollar bill under e pluribus unum, of the many, one. It's like when you start to put all this out there, that all this hidden has been translated in a different way and projected onto you, but yet fully in front of you, so that they can circumvent karma because it's still there. You're just interpreting it wrong because you're making an assumption. And what do you do when you make an assumption? You make an ass out of you and me.
Yeah.
Right? Well, when you go through the courts, like I went through the courts, and we'll get there in a moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
You find out that language is the tool used against us through diction, or this dictionary. That law uses a completely different dictionary, but they make the assumption that that's why you got to hire an attorney to pay counsel. That's why you got to pay counsel, because that's why they deem you incompetent at the get-go. And you have to have representation. And then what the representation does, as soon as you ask for representation, they assume you instantly to be incompetent of the law, incompetent of the spiritual awareness that you are one with all. In the simplest form, in the simplest, truest sense, when you can get your head around there's no other. Right. There's an other self, or a mirrored reflection of self, an aspect of you, because you're a being as vast as the cosmos. Mm-hmm. You just attach your identification to this instrument you're embodied within, but you're also a part of the earth. You're a part of the animals. You're part of the plants and the air you breathe, for goodness sakes. Yeah. You're within every atom of creation. You're made up of an assortment of atoms and structured in such a way that the cells are created and they're specific to their particular order. You're like the universe, a fractal expression of the universe bottled up in this beautiful form in your own playground. But that's not what we're told. We're told something completely different because that was that paradigm. That was the program of that paradigm. That's what our Creator created for us to experience a world separate from that awareness, separate from God. And being separate from God, we find ourselves in struggle and strife and wars and battles and conflict because we think we're separate from each other too. Yeah. Well, that all dissolves and goes away when you go through the shit that I went through. and it was because I was willing, I was open to receiving. I'm going to tell you an analogy, and I'm going to give you a simple analogy or an image in your mind to hold in your mind through the rest of this discussion and for the rest of your life. Imagine, if you will, a fly beating itself up against the window. And you've seen this. It wants outside because it can see its freedom out there. And there's a crack in the window and you don't want to go smush that fly because yucky. I'm gonna shoo that fly out the window. But that fly sees this giant hand coming at it, thinking it wants to kill me. And so it starts cussing, throwing every fly cuss word at it, at the hand, saying, "Get the fuck away from me. Get away from me." And it starts beating itself up, running away from this hand. Well, this hand is the hand of God coming to shoo you out to freedom, to push you out. But you got to be willing to receive the helping hand of God that's working through what you would judge to be your own shadow or darkness. That's what I learned through all the shit that I went through. So this is all in hindsight, and this is the beautiful thing. That's why hindsight's 20/20 vision. It becomes clear only after you go through what you got to go through to get there.
Yes.
So we're all being pushed up. Some of us are going to have our backs up against the wall. We're going to be pushed or prodded this way to, get out of this job or get out of this house, or somebody stole my car, or you know what? God took everything from me, but you know what? I thought to myself, when I discharged all my debt, it was only then, after I took that leap of faith, because I knew it was a false narrative construct that I'd adopted or through consensual reality. So, and I was given permission basically to let go of, groupthink philosophy or sheeple mentality and venture off, and to where no man has gone before, because that's where only discovery, discovery only comes to those who travel the path least traveled. So you got to get out of the mainstream, quit following what everybody else does. And I let go of that. And that's when I started separating from everything, friends and family and everything, because I started going off where nobody goes. And it's like, well, you start finding yourself alone, but you're not alone. Right. And you got this entourage around you that's is chomping at the bit to carry you off to freedom. And so you can set the example for others to follow. To give them, share your story with them so that they too can do these things that you do and even greater things. So it's like I discharged my debt. Well, then I was going to the banks to get papers notarized because I was submitting to the courts to defend myself. And the notary republic happened to be a gal that I'd go, riding Harleys with at the same time. She said, "Lawrence, I know this older guy that's doing the same thing you're doing. You want me to give him your number?" I said, "Sure, give him my number. If he wants to call me, he can call me." Next thing I know, I got this call from the 72-year-old man. We get together and we start go, "My gosh, I got somebody else who I can talk to."
Yeah, exactly.
The Spirit will bring you exactly what you need when you need it. Yeah. Always, if you just go with the flow. This guy came into my life and introduced me to the One People's Public Trust. This was before it was public announcement in Christmas of 2012. And I got all these papers and these documents, and it was like, wow, this totally makes sense. And now I got, here's what I'm going to go after all these people, and I'm going to get all this money out of them because of all these violations of all these laws and things like that. And so I started sending notices to the government officials about the foreclosure on the corporate structures of the planet. And the countries are all corporate structure. The states are corporate. The counties are corporate. The cities are corporate. And you and I are corporate.
Yes.
In the all capital letter name. So all the corporations on the planet have been foreclosed, deemed by the Almighty, that flows through each and every one of us. I'm just here to tell you right now, the corporate status of the fiction, the false narratives, the separation consciousness is over. And now it's time we can embody the oneness, the unity expressed in infinite diversity. And that's what makes this world spin, is the diversity of everything. It makes all things spin. I mean, we are like spinning tops. I mean, you think about the atoms within our bodies. Imagine, the earth is spinning on itself, and you got the moon and the earth spinning, and then you got that spinning around the sun, and the sun spinning around the galaxy. I mean, we are just going spinning fast. Yeah. So
trying to get the heck out of here.
I mean, when you start thinking, you expand, you change your perception, you back away from this little self, and you see yourself from a higher perspective, a more broader perspective, and you can see how much, the bigger picture and the relation of everything, and how it's just so beautiful. But this guy introduced me to the One People's Public Trust and Heather Ann Tucci-Giraffe, and this language that I was able to put together. And these are the words that were given me through Spirit, through Heather, into me. And it all comes through all my other selves out there. That's how I see things. That's how my language comes through. My language comes through you, and through the voice that comes through me as I speak to you. I listen to myself speaking, because that's usually, a lot of times, actually most of the time, that's the universe coming through me, speaking, trying to tell me something I need to absorb myself and live by, because I'm finding that I have to live by my words. I'm being held to my expression, to my embodiment, to my awareness, in fact. Because, see, awareness is knowledge. Knowledge is power. It also carries a great responsibility. And to deny that responsibility or turn our back on that awareness would be to betray the self and all my other selves. And when I came into that awareness of the foreclosure on the corporate structure of the planet, and basically the laws of commerce are dead in the water, that it's just being, it's like you have a whole paradigm that's thousands of years old going this direction. It's like a locomotive. You don't stop it on a dime. It's got to take time to slow down and go back the other way. And it's taken years of me waiting for something to happen on the outside before I got to the point where the pattern became recognizable within my consciousness, that basically told me, don't wait for nothing or you'll wait forever. Right. You need to start embodying your truth. Well, when I took Heather's documents, and all the law firms, the banks, the FBI, the IRS, everybody stood down from pursuing me. And that's when I knew I was living in my truth. It was like, and this was empowering. This was like, wow, now what do I do? Because I can't have a bank account. I don't have an ID. And when you take that leap of faith, you're out of the system. They can't touch you because there's no agreement. But if I were to go back in the system, guess what? I consent to that reality, and I consent to that rule or those rules. That's the thing. You can play in 3D, but you will be held to those limitations by those laws. When you're ready to rise above, you've got to first let go so you can be filled with the new light and information and, radiance and powers and, all this beautiful insight that comes from above or below or inside as you let go and let God, if you will. But the information came through. Then I get the The one thing they didn't stop coming after me for was my motorcycle. I discharged the debt on the motorcycle too. I literally walked in there with a debt instrument, a discharge instrument, went right to the bank cashier, at the credit union, and discharged the debt right in front of her. She gave me a receipt. I went back to my house. I logged online, and sure as all get out, the account was balanced out to zero. I took pictures of it, everything.
Wow.
Done deal. My motorcycle is mine. And then it wasn't long later, here come the banks and the sheriffs, and they're coming to get my stuff. So I was aware of, what Jesus says, let go of your earthly things. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Don't resist, because we're all energy. Resistance doesn't allow that energy to flow. Mm-hmm. Just go with the flow. I mean, you know what? Maybe the darkness has taken me out of the way, harm's way. Maybe I would have gotten in an accident. Somebody in the truck would have plowed into me in the motorcycle. I don't know, but that's another timeline. Mm. So I took the high road, and especially since the sheriff's department, they surrounded my house with guns, pounded on the door, said, we're here to get the motorcycle, and we're here to use any means necessary. I've got an order right here from the courts. This as well. Is that a warrant? And, no, it's not a warrant. It's a writ of garnish, a writ of repossession. I said, well, that's not a warrant. That's not lawful, right? Well, it's a court order. I says, is there a judge's signature? Well, there's a stamp on it. And of course, there's no judge's signature, because no man or woman wants to take responsibility for what they're doing. It's a corporation. It's a fiction. It's a non-existent entity. It's a stack of frickin' papers that just stamp that thing. But you know what? I'm talking to people that are human beings like you and I, that have children at home and have to put food on their table, and and pay the rent and stuff like that. So I just compassionately shared the truth with them. Well, you need to become a politician and change all this. Instead, no, I don't want to become a politician. That's the last thing I want to do. And in fact, I've never voted in my life, and now I know why. Because that's consent. Yeah. That's giving my power away, and it's like something inside me knew better. Yeah. But the officer, I had compassion for the officers. I says, I'm just letting you know that what you're doing. If there's a new job coming up or something, take it outside that structure, because you're going to be given some choices. You may have to kick families out onto the streets, and you may have done that already, but I don't know how you can do that knowing what I'm just sharing with you now. In the future, you're going to have to live with yourself. Yeah. So it's like, you got to come from the heart, no anger, no, oh, they're out to get me, kind of stuff. I'm just sharing with the truth here, just sharing truth. You can talk to your boss about it, send it up the ladders, but I found out what happens is they all have handlers. And they have people that bypass things or cut short circuit or open the mail and stop, the flow of information getting up to those people that have higher intentions, but are still under the idea that they're doing what they're doing, but they're not, because they got handlers in there throughout the structure. It's like, it's just so systemic. It's just sick and perverted, and it's just ugly as, oh my God, the stuff I walked into I walked downtown to the Capitol building and tried to get in to meet the governor, and hand documents and serving papers to them and all this. It's like, you're stopped at every way you can go. It's like there's no way getting to them. All my certified, hundreds of dollars in certified mail, and notifications to Secret Service, Washington. I mean, there were thousands of people that were aware of the One People's Public Trust doing this to all government entities. Wow, yeah. Putting this information out. So, and they're still in place. And this happened in 2013, 2012 and 2013. So they're not going to give that freedom to you. 3D will not give you that freedom. At least they never gave it to me. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the future holds. I do what I do because I have a responsibility to myself and to my offspring, and, and so forth. And when I come back here, if I come back, but I know what I leave behind is what I come back to. And that's why I decided to, I had, my children have already grown and gone, and my family is, kind of, don't know who their son is anymore. And, the only one that does is my sister, is just like the love of my life, my right hand right now. I mean, it's like she's the only one that understands, or she doesn't understand, but it's just love. It's just love. That's all it is. But in any case, when I realized, I would go to bars and I'd be waiting for when are they gonna stand down? I mean, because I know that the universe, basically, we gave them 3 years to repurpose themselves or stand down before the quote right hand, the left hand wrath of God would be coming down on them. Well, it's not that way, but that's just a metaphor for saying that, okay, things will start to shift back the other way, despite their choice or not. And that awareness has been growing and growing and growing, and a lot of people are in jail as a result of the One People's Public Trust. But in fact, I went to jail, and I spent, and it's because after I discharged all my debt and got rid of the driver's license, I bought a new truck, and I didn't register it, and I didn't put plates on it because Spirit told me to be that which I wish to see in the world. Don't consent to the slavery. Said don't participate in it, and live as you would choose to live, and you will be honored. Well, I was honored. I would have police officers show up behind my truck and never pull me over because I don't have plates, and be like, because, and I'd have all these butterflies going through my, I mean, this is where you start working on your, this is the spiritual weightlifting you do to move that, to awaken that, that solar plexus regions up to that power that it has within it by letting go of the fear. It helped pulse that fear out of me the more they pulled up behind me or beside me.
Yeah.
And then I'd make stupid choices, because Spirit told me to step into my purity with unflinching determination because of where I was going with all this. Because I was going down the road of law. And when you go down the road of law, you're dealing with the darkest of the dark, the enforcement of the planet, basically, the enforcement agents of the planet, of the structure. And so I got thrown in jail in 3 different counties in Colorado, 3 different times for driving and, doing stupid stuff, found my karma became instant, so there's a sovereign manifesto that says the deeper you dive into truth, the more convicted you must be. Mm. It's like Yoda says, do or do not, there is no try. When you do is you do, you're in it. I mean, you jumped off that cliff, you took that leap of faith, there ain't no go back.
Yeah.
But that bridge shows up every step you take. That bridge assembles itself where you can keep on taking steps. And I kept on taking steps, and I went into jail for 16 months because I was deemed incompetent to proceed by the universe, operating through the courts, through the judge, because I had this consciousness that I had to take down the structure. Well, that's going to battle the shadows, isn't it? Well, I'm here to tell you, the last thing you ever want to do is battle your own shadow. That's like slashing at windmills. You ain't going to get anywhere. All you're going to do is strengthen it. You're going to strengthen it. It grows ever more virulent because it's trying to teach you to let go of it. In fact, it's been pushing me out of 3D the whole time, trying to get me to let go and open myself up to the infinite potential that I am. And I can't do that until I completely let go of the earthly things, the programming, the mind, the beliefs, and the structures, and the attachments, and I mean everything, including the money. And I have done it. And I have found myself in the midst of the wilderness with not a thing but my invisible guides that are there to carry me everywhere I go now. And you cannot discover that. And that's why it says it's easier for the camel to pass through the eye of the needle than it is for a rich man to discover the kingdom. Because all is given by the Creator through all that I am, we are, when you are willing to let go of the 3D things. Then the other things, the 3D, 5D things, 6D, multi-D things, I should say, because I don't want to limit myself.
Yeah.
You know,
and a certain dimension.
Yeah, I mean, dimensions are just a way of saying, multi-D, because we are, each of us is our own universe in a multiverse that makes up the song of the universe, the song we sing, together. And so it's like the 16 months I was in jail, I went to the mental health hospital because they deemed me incompetent to proceed and they're trying to scare me. It's like the guardians to the gates of heaven are our shadows. They're the dragons at the gates of the temples, the lions at the gates of the temples, the gargoyles at the gates of the temples and the churches. It's the projectors of fear. And, there is no place for fear where we are going with this. I'm just here to tell you because I have faced my greatest fears. And I know there is no such thing as death either. That's an illusion as well. So it's all the beliefs that we hold to that keep us in conformance to a structure and to beliefs, because I'm going to just say that what we do as aspects of the Creator, each of us is but a facet, of an infinitely faceted diamond that is shattered and sent out into the far reaches of the universe to discover and travel where no man has gone before. That is into the unknown. And that's what we do, is we travel into the unknown to illuminate it. So the darkness is our unknown. And the only way to transform our darkness is to walk into it and accept it and to receive the love it has to give us. And as we open ourselves up to that darkness, the gift hiding behind the appearances, set fear aside and know that all is love, you know what? The universe will honor us by answering in kind with love. If we choose fear, the universe will happily abide by your affixation to fear because it wouldn't want to prove you wrong or dishonor your choice, your free will to abide by fear. See, the universe, the almighty awareness of the universe is unbiased. It is without prejudice. It honors our choice. It honors our, fixation with 3D. And so what I learned through the course, and what do? You say, in course is, your honor. Well, speak to to your honor as though it is God, and the other self, and be open to receiving the gift of love. It's hiding behind it. And that is the gift of personal empowerment, because you did it yourself. Nobody came to save you, because there ain't nobody coming to save you. That's the illusion that keeps you waiting, because the longer you wait, the more you remain loosh or food or harvesting, energy, because that's basically what we're harvested is chattel or cattle on this earth. And we're food for higher dimensional entities called emotional expression. Through our emotional suffering, we feed the darkness. And through our joy, we feed the light. So either way, we're feeding something through the energy transmissions that flow through us. And that's why the power of the infinite creator comes in at neutral point, of the eye of the hurricane. Because see, the hurricane is two energies that come together from different perspectives. They're still spinning the same way, same direction, but they're coming from opposite perspectives that create the hurricane. The rising warm air mass and the descending cold air mass. There's a positive and negative. The warm is a radiant energy, and the cold is a magnetic energy. Yeah. They come together to create the storm. Well, if you want to stay out of the storm, the darkness and the battle and out of harm's way of all the shit flying around from the storm or the war or the battle, then you know what? Don't take sides, good or bad, right or wrong. All just is. And that's what you get in court is justice. It just is. It's like, it's the sound vibration of the word that the language, this speaks to me as the sound vibration of the word opens things up to a greater awareness that language has been distorted to such a degree. It's like we say good morning to each other. We're wishing everybody to mourn. I have a good morning. No, I'd rather have a good day. Thank you. Quit wishing me a good morning. That's a program of darkness. Right. We're the only country in the world that says good morning. The rest of the world says good day, good buenos dias. It's like, I'd rather a good day, sir. Thank you. I don't want to mourn all day today.
I never thought of that. That's crazy.
Oh, no, nobody does. But the language is the spell, and the spelling of the word is the spell. And that's why where we're going with this is beyond language. We're going beyond the external currency or energy of the fiat money, the fiat currency, to the true currency called love that flows through each and every one of us in infinite abundant supply by becoming one with the creator, the great I am that we are, in the eye of that storm, the one that is unbiased, that loves all of its creations equally. The dark light is just light held in a frequency we cannot yet see. It's just not brought into our awareness yet. It's unrealized potential. All that darkness that we see out there is unrealized potential in space because there ain't no empty space. There's overlaid realities over on top of layer realities on top of realities, and an infinite array of realities that we can traverse into. And you know what? I only go there in my dreams. As far as my waking state, I live in my waking dream. I'm a walking dream. I'm a walking meditation. And that's I'm not good at one of those guys that closes his eyes and goes into these states. It's just like, it's just not I'm a walking meditation. My information comes through. I'll be walking around the pod in the jail cell. All of a sudden I'll be humming a song, and then I'll put the words to the song, and all of a sudden I'll realize Spirit's talking to me, and it's just the two of us. It's the song. It's just the two of us. I'm humming this song, and it is. It's just the two of us, you and I, the uni or the one. Yeah. You and I is uni for one. It's like, wow, cool. Yeah. And that's what happened to me. The beautiful thing that came from jail was I was held in solitary confinement for 5 months because I refused to take shots. I don't, knowing what I knew at that time, I needed no needles in my arms, and I knew I had power to say no. Yeah. And then they wanted me to sign something that says to say no. And I says, no, I don't need to say no. I'm just telling you no. I don't want to sign. I'm not exactly. My energy is my signature, period. Yeah. I speak to the creator in you, in the jail attendees, in the judge, in the banks. I don't even deal with the banks anymore. I let go of the banks that steered the false currency or the fiat currency that generate false profits. Long ago. And I live outside of that world right now, and Spirit abides by because of the One People's Public Trust telling me, basically the One People's Public Trust puts the word, just the title of it tells me there's one people, which is plural for pupil. Pupil is the I or the student. Yeah. We are all but students here in our creation, learning. And it's time to graduate from elementary school to the grandest university of all, the universe. And you know what? They told me in jail, or Spirit told me in jail, all we need to get in tuition is free. All we need is love. by John Lennon.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm humming these songs. And it's like, wow, man, lyrics speak to me. I mean, for some reason, I'll be walking and all of a sudden humming a song. And it's like, oh, okay, what are the words to that song? Then it comes to me, and it's like, wow, that's a message. That's how Spirit kind of talks to me, lyrics.
I love that.
Anyway, it's like, you know, I've had so much quiet time, and it's so, this world is so filled with dramas and having to go to work and contribute to the slavery system, you know, just to survive, and you know all this, you know, and it's like somebody. I don't know how all this is going to pan out. I don't know if it's going to happen in the blink of an eye, where, you know, where we all just, I mean, I just really don't know. The Spirit told me to, you know, my dream, to quit being so myopic. Well, I didn't know what the word meant, so I had to wake up and go read a dictionary to find out what the word meant before I knew what I was learning or being told. And I love those kind of dreams where I got to look up the word or contact other people because I'm being guided through these dreams.
What is it?
You know, and it's like, it's the coolest thing in the world to have these insights come that I never had before when I was in the slavery system. By letting go, then you can only be filled with this information. And Spirit wants nothing more. Every one of us has that Creator just chomping at the bit to use us as its instrument. And what I've been guided to do through after I dismissed my own cases in court by, you know, the public defender came to me, you know, when I was deemed competent to proceed by the universe. I was given my day in court. And that day they brought me into a room and said, okay, you know, we're willing to drop all these charges. You've already served all your time, and we're going to just charge you with this, and you're free to go today. And I says, this is you know, I don't want a plea bargain. No, I know where I'm at here. I don't need a plea bargain. Then we got to go to trial. And he says, no, I don't want that either. What do you mean? You got to choose one or the other. He says, no, they didn't tell you the third option. Well, see, they tell you about the red and the blue pill, you know, either for or against us, but they never tell you there's this third option, you know, centered, without prejudice, right or left, good or bad, right or wrong, this or that. I just am. I be. I love you from here unconditionally, and I thank you for the lessons and empowerment you're sharing with me in this moment, and what you came to do for all we are, because you're going to have the opportunity to empower. You're empowering a lot of people right now. And it wasn't 15 minutes later, I'm in the courtroom at the speaker, and you know, the judge comes out, and the public defender walks in, and she leans over to me and she says, you know, we think we found the third option. And I just smiled. Didn't have to say a word. Case is dismissed without prejudice. I was out of jail that day, and there's nothing greater than to feel such gratitude and love for all the crap that I'd been through. It was all in here. I was prisoner of my own mind. We have to, the true sovereign being, if you want your sovereignty, and I tell you this because back in 2011, when I came into the awareness, this woman, Anelia Benz, came into my life, and she told a story online, and I just was like totally resonant with it. It was like, wow. And so I started hooking into her teachings, and she said I would call her a wonderful shamana. But she tricked me by making me put forth my intentions in 4 words or less, and to post them online and to put them on my mirror and look at them every day. And what I just did is I gave permission to Spirit to push, pull, and drag me through sovereign realm of abundance. So this is the journey that I've been pushed, pulled, and dragged through, creating myself. I was let free because I was deemed competent to proceed. So now I knew how to see or perceive my world in the external, so that I would no longer be put in harm's way, and that all those out there are in service to me, for me. In fact, they're all here for you and I. It's just, we got to stop the resistance and go with the flow, because I'll tell you something. They're only here to push us out the door of 3D, because the stronger our grip is, the more it's going to tear our fingernails and hang fingers off of the shores of the banks that we're clinging to. Yeah. It's going to rip those things apart. And you're going to stress, and you're going to have anxiety, and you're going to have tension, and you're going to have manifestations of illness in the body. Everything is the mind is the builder, and the physical is its manifestation. The spirit is the foundation upon which all is built. And when we become one with that spirit, we build on the solid foundation of truth. So now I'm on this journey to discover abundance. Well, when I got out of jail, my family took me in for a little while to get myself situated, and so they could get my truck sold, because I refused to get, I don't have a driver's license to go register. I don't have bank accounts. I couldn't register the truck if I wanted to anyway. So they couldn't even sell the damn thing. So I said, you go ahead and register it. Do what you need to do to sell it. Do your thing in 3D, because I had no part of it. I can't do it. So, they sold the truck, and I paid them off for, my mom bailing the truck out of Hawk, and, posting bonds when the times I had posted bonds, until the last time I decided not to consent to the bond, because I felt I knew it needed to stay in here. I didn't want to contribute to the bonding, because that's supporting the structure. By signing the bond, I'm consenting to the whole game again, and then I'm giving them access to my trust fund. It's like, no, thank you. I'll go through what I got to go through. I know I'm here for a reason, and I trust in the whole process. So it's just like, people thought I was freaking nuts when, yeah. I mean, they came back. I'm in this one cell with 20 other guys waiting to go into courtroom, and they come knocking on the door, and they said, Mr. Wendell, we're willing to give you a PR bond here. No, thank you. It's like, no. And everybody's looking at me. What? They're all like, you freaking nuts, a PR bond? Yeah. No, thanks. It's like, I mean, even these people are thinking I'm stupid. Yeah. You know what? Let them. Yeah. I'm the fool, but you know what? I'm the happiest fool. It's just like, I'm going through what I got to go through to get to where I'm going. Where I'm going, I don't know. And you know what? I just trust. Yeah. Because I've done let go of everything. So now my family kicks me out October 1st of last year. Says I got to go. It's called tough love. You can only support somebody so long. It's like you got to kick your child out. Lawrence is on this journey. You got to put him out. So I accepted that as though the Creator's speaking through them. It's time for me to go and take my next phase of the journey. And I was guided to spend the money that I had left over as though I was abundance. And I was thinking, well, by the time I get through that, I'll trust there'll be plenty of money after that. It'll be, everybody will have access to their trust account through the Treasury Direct accounts that'll be established, and all this stuff that was shown to me after I got out of jail. It was called the Factualized Trust. Oh, what is that? Which was, well, it's me now. I mean, it's actually the embodiment of the instrument, actually living and being in that trust, having access to that fifth dimensional energy, or that fifth dimensional currency, or that quantum currency that's available for exchange wherever you go. And here's my journey. How I got to that awareness was through the food lines, the shelters, with the homeless, with sleeping under the bridges. Just like, you got to go through the darkness to come out the other side. And it's like, man, I went through the deepest, darkest thing. I found myself, after I got to Sedona, I was on my last $145, and I bought a train because I wanted to get to the beach, because I knew, if there's any place to survive, it'd be on the beach. So I got a train ticket to Sedona, or not from Sedona to Flagstaff to San Juan Capistrano, and I was literally, I think I had 50 cents to my name when I got there, and that was when where the magic started happening. When you truly do surrender, I'm just going to tell you, it's only through that surrender and that trust and that faith that you walk by that you give permission to give you the support energetically. Because if you want to hold on to the 3D material around the struggle and all that, the universe is going to honor that choice in you. So I would find, somebody came out of a restaurant and they left a box on top of the trash can that was closed. It was clean, closed, like it was left there for me. I opened it up. It was like a whole freaking plate of ribs and tacos. And I'm just like, wow, it was the greatest. It was like, such gratitude for such the smallest things. When you're empty, you learn to be grateful for the simplest things. It's only in that place of emptiness where the smallest things become the greatest gifts and the greatest joy and the greatest, the goosebumps that ripple through your body, the chills, the tears that roll down your eyes. I'm swelling up right now as I'm talking to you because of the stuff that I've been through. And it's like, I'm here to tell you, I spent until March 1st in Laguna Beach, made a lot of friends with all the loving families that supported the local shelter there. It's called the alternative sleeping. They call it the box, the alternative sleeping facility. Anyway, it's like a place you do lottery, and there's so many beds inside where you can stay, and otherwise, you got to sleep in the parking lot or go sleep on the beach or something like that. But it's against the law to sleep on the beach, and so. In any case, I spent my Christmas there, and magic happened. People come up and share a blanket because I thought I was guided to take off and from Laguna Beach earlier, and I left Laguna Beach and I went north and spent some time underneath a pier with 4 other homeless guys there for about a week, and met some great musicians, great people, and these are just normal people, man. It's just like, some were, doped up, but, they've been through some shit. We've all been through some stuff. And, but anyway, I found myself surrounded always with blessings, in the middle of emptiness. And the more often you do that, the more you rest into your trust. You become comfortable living in the unknown. And even then, I ventured further north. I felt like these guys were telling me it was time for me to go. The signs were, I pay attention to all the words that are spoken to me, the signs from from everywhere. I pay to omens everywhere. Because that's what guides me everywhere I go. I worked all the way up into Canada and back down last year, and I'll tell you, I'd get there. I don't know how much you want to hear about that, but I got up north into Long Beach. I was spending the night on the beach, and I'd given one of the sleeping guys underneath the pier all my belongings because I felt like this was a sign. It was like I was going to be beamed up to a ship and I'd have my own suite. I thought it was ready to go. It was like, I gave it up. It was like, I completely gave it up. I gave the guy my duffel bag and all my stuff, and I started walking, man. And I walked north, and I found myself in a rainstorm in Long Beach in the middle of the night. And it was like, I was freezing my noogies off, and I pulled the trash bag out of the trash can. Fortunately, it was a clean one, and I cut a hole in it so I could see through it, and I put it over me. I kept walking, trying to find a spot underneath the riprap along the ocean. dry. I mean, I was freezing my noogie. I found a restroom, and then some guy knocks on the door at 2:00 in the morning. He's there to high pressure wash the thing. I mean, I had a multi-million-dollar business before I let all this go, and here I am on the streets, man. I made this choice. I'm taking responsibility for it because I know there's something coming from it. I didn't let go of what I had created before to find myself stuck in this place. I'm not a victim here. I'm a victor. I mean, my name stands for Victor. Lawrence stands for the laurel wreath. I mean, it's Greek for the laurel wreath, the victor. So I was like, no, I'm a victor here. We're going through this. We're going to do this. And it's like, it takes perseverance. See yourself through whatever you got to go through. Nobody's going to have to go through the stuff that I went through. God forbid nobody has to go through the stuff that I went through. I mean, there's a lot of people going through worse things than I had to go through. Yeah. But Spirit, that night the police came up shining a light on me. Hey, you're not supposed to be sleeping on the beach. They were wanting to write me a ticket, and I don't sign tickets. It's like, no, thank you. I don't want to sign your invitation. That's an invitation to play in their courts. That's their game board. I don't play. So I don't sign. Well, then I'm going to have to arrest you. And this is what that's what it has to be. I trust you. Are you sure? It's just, I don't, I'm not going to sign a ticket. I trust you. Shit, I was looking forward to a warm meal and some
right? Nice bed.
I went to Orange County Jail, and I spent 5 days there before I went into court a couple of times, and I just I have no interest in entering a plea or anything. No, it's like I don't want to play. And Spirit knew exactly what I was talking, because I was talking to God and the judge, and so they send me back. They make these noises like, well, we're going to schedule court for 60 days from now or something like that. It's like, okay, whatever, I trust you. Next thing I know, I get a call, you're free to go. It's like, okay. So I get let out at midnight with nothing, and it's like, okay, well, where do I go? I'm going to go back towards the beach. Hell, I'm going back to Laguna. At least I know where I can get food and stuff. Yeah. Well, actually, that's where I thought I would go. Nice. And one of the guys that was getting out of the jail with me is the same time. So he started talking about his wife and stuff like that. I started talking to him, and we started talking, and I said, well, I'm going back towards Laguna. I just need to know which way it is towards the beach. And so, I'm going to Laguna Niguel. You want a ride? I'll give you a ride. And I'm like, sure, I'll take a ride. And I was like, there's Spirit right there, embodied in the sky.
Right. Exactly.
And I'm just going, wow. I'm just like, wow, this is great. So I get taken. I'm at Starbucks. Somebody buys me a cup of coffee. Sitting on the beach at Laguna, overlooking. I meet up with my old friends there that I've befriended there in Laguna, and I find out this gal is from Taos, New Mexico, in Laguna Beach, because the Star Nations conference is going on tonight or this afternoon in Laguna Beach. And I'm all like, she's I'm in Laguna. Let's get together. And she buys me a ticket to the conference and feeds me and houses me that night. And I'm showered, and it's like, she was my little angel. And it's like, wow. Yeah. And these are the magics and the synchronicities that come with surrender and letting go. And I'm telling you, if you just trust, you will be answered in the most magical, wondrous ways, whatever you do. So here we go. That's one little leg. And then here I venture, I'm back on, and I'm sleeping on the beach because I love sleeping. The beach is 10 degrees warmer than it is inland where the shelter is. Wow. Because the ocean waters carry a low temperature like a blanket. If the low temperature of the beach is 55 and it's 40 degrees outside, the beach is warm. The water is warmer than it is the ambient temperature. So it's kind of like its own heating blanket. So it's 10 degrees warmer on the beach, just so you know, in the winter. In California, nice. It's the opposite during the day, and it's like the coolest thing. So I knew Spirit. I could trust Spirit wouldn't arrest me on the beach unless it was time for me to go. And they did. They basically came up to me, flashed their lights, and they woke me up and says, "You can't stay here." And I took that as a sign. Okay, thank you. And it's time for me to go. So I ventured north. Oh, I just started. What did I do? Oh, somebody gave me a bus pass. Yeah, somebody just gave me a bus pass, and I took it north. And I went as far as the one would go. I think it was up to Laguna, Long Beach. No, yeah. Anyway, I got up to Long Beach, and then I don't know if you know Magenta Pixie online. Okay. Well, anyway, she talks about Avalon and King Arthur, the dragons, and she's a very highly resonant channel of the White Winged Council of Nine, and she's a resonant channel for my guidance, at least through this whole journey last year. It's just like mind blowing, boggling, wonderful. Anyway, I'm the whole time I'm sitting on the beach every day of my life, just grounding to the earth and sleeping on the beach, looking at Catalina Island. Well, Catalina Island, the city on Catalina is Avalon.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I get to Long Beach, and sure enough, they got a ship that goes to Avalon, and I'm all like, wow, that would be fun to go to Avalon. Why not? Why not? Let's manifest that. Let's do that. Let's go to Avalon. It's like, and because she's talking about this, and I'm like, oh, so I give it a try. I'm like, you know what? A spirit's in everybody, and this currency flows through. You know, I somehow was inspired to just go get on the boat. So I tried. It took me 3 times. I got turned down the first 2 times. No. And the 3rd time, well, I'm doing yoga because they got free yoga on the beach in Long Beach at Cherry Park, if anybody's listening to that. And I was like, because Spirit inspired me to do that on the bus, because 2 people started talking to me about yoga on the beach, and it was like, wow, cool. So I'm doing that. And I get done, and I'm taking a shower at the beach, and I'm drying off in the sun. I'm just laying back in the grass, drying off, and this lady walks by with this beautiful, bright rainbow color that says Avalon, Catalina Island, or something like that. And I was like, well, shit, I'm going to give it another go. So I went. And sure enough, I just walked right through the line, and everybody's being asked for tickets, and I get in line with everybody else, just like everybody else. And the guy doesn't even look at me. He looks at the person behind me, and I just followed the guy in front of me, got on the boat, and went across to Avalon. Cool. Oh. This was okay before I went to Avalon, because there's no shelter or anything over there, and there's nobody serving food. What I learned in Laguna Beach was is because of this factualized trust. This factualized trust told me I had access to this quantum financial system. Well, it's energy. Well, I knew that my body holds its own energy signature, kind of like a credit card. Okay, when we sign something, we give consent to transfer energy, from one bank account to another. It's the same thing. Instead of the material way, we do it, the fiat way. I do it the true way. And so instead of going through the food lines, I was guided, because I was told by Spirit, if you don't like, because the food that I'm eating in the food lines is not good for this instrument. If you want to harmonize the mind, the body, and the spirit as one, you want to raise your vibration. I have been in the awareness of, through Edgar Casey, is to eat, high vibrational foods. Yes. Yeah. Well, Spirit told me, if you don't like your situation, it's up to you to change it. You need to take responsibility. And that's what, if you want to be sovereign, you're going to be 100% responsible for everything you create and do and be. And 100% liable for everything you do, create, and be. So you better be in your absolute purity. Well, I'll be in my absolute purity. Since I'd already proven the financial system is a false narrative and that everybody stood down, it isn't real. I says, well, okay, well, I should be able to go through the grocery store lines like I get on the buses to go where I need to go now, because I missed that part. I had started getting on buses and going wherever I wanted to go through communicating telepathically with the bus driver, you know, basically sharing my gratitude with the bus driver telepathically, because I'm speaking to the one in him that lives also within me and in you and everybody else. And they would test me a lot. They'd say no, and you know, and I would say, you know, I'd be, you know, I'd be humbly very, very grateful, because I don't have any money, and you know, and then they reconsider and let me on, you know, because this is about, I mean, you have to embody humility to the greatest extent. I mean, this is a very humbling journey, because and it's a good thing, so you don't harm anybody, because you become more and more powerful. You carry a lot more energy, and you don't want to be harming anyone. So humility is important. So as I was getting on and off the buses, I thought, well, you know, why don't I do the same thing as I go to the grocery store to get what I need? Because I learned the new Bashar, another channel, spoke of the new definition of abundance as being given all that you need when you need it and nothing more. That's called living in the now. And it's also traveling light, where you don't have to carry any baggage with you. You can just be, kind of like in the cartoons where the princess just dances merrily in the snow. You know, she goes walking, you know, sparkly and all that kind of stuff in the Walt Disney thing, you know, because, you know what, you travel light, literally and figuratively, because you don't need to carry stuff for if come maybe, because Spirit will provide or keep you out of that condition.
Yeah. Or you
as long as you are. And I'm speaking to you from my journey, from my perspective, from my experience, that because I have completely surrendered to be a servant to the Creator. In other words, rather than being a slave to man and man's structure and system that perpetuates wars and slavery and all this suffering, I would rather be in service to the Creator, which is service to self, really, because who am I and who are you? So if I'm in service to the Creator, I'm in service to all that I am, we are. So I get my mind, the ego's mind, out of the way of what I think I need to do to change things or fix things, and allow the Spirit to do that through this instrument. I give this instrument wholeheartedly and whole with intent to become one with that Spirit and let it guide me and take me where it wants me to go. So it's going to take me through an initiatory phase of learning the language of Spirit and learning how to operate in this new financial system that exists in the now for each one of us who are willing to let go of the old. In other words, you're not going to be able to hang on to your credit cards and your bank accounts and then tap into this quantum financial system, but you may have more fiat currency come your way to help manifest your thing, because it's a stepping stone to get to where you're going, because we all transition in our own way. I just happened to take the crash course. That was my way, and I got beat up pretty bad in it, you know, and so I don't necessarily recommend everybody do what I do, but I am just sharing with you the learning I had to go through, the humbling I had to go through, the moving it from the heart, you know, from the mind to the, you know, centering to the high heart, you know, merging the two together, and seeing the Christ in the other, you know, or the Creator in the other, you know, namaste. You know, it's like everything speaks to us. It says the same thing, but we just don't really live by it. You know, there's a difference between embodiment, you know, harnessing the awareness and then embodying the awareness. There's a completely different energetic transfer, or, you know, your energy increases through your embodiment. You know, your bank account, my treasure in my chest, my treasure chest right here, the Creator inside me builds up its currency through the embodiment and the nurturing of this bond with the Creator inside, with that purity of intention of becoming one with it, so I can step out of that and let the magic begin. And you know, when you start going through, I mean, it's the scariest thing to go into the grocery store. And I'm telling you, because in these documents, the factualized trust, it's operating, you know, the great I am is operating in the crystal clear light, that, you know, where I'm not choosing the, you know, the white light or the dark light. I'm the crystal clear light in the center, where I operate in clear transparency, in plain view of everyone. I'm not hiding anything in my pockets. I'm not sneaking around the counter. This is like having to walk right in front of everybody, trusting that Spirit wants me to have this salad tonight, or this water, because it's better than this water over here, you know, or this drink or whatever. And it's like every time, I mean, I had to do that meal after meal, day after day. And that's called spiritual weightlifting. That's strengthening the currency or the energy bond between me and the Creator by practicing releasing the fear and just trusting that, you know what, when that security guard stands in your way, it moves in your way, and says, no, it's because, well, I'm either not supposed to have that food, and I got to trust in that, or Spirit's telling me to go someplace. It's time to go move on. And I'll just wait for my next sign. Just trust that something else will pop up. And you know, in order to stay in that flow or that synchronicity, you got to stay out of fear. You got to just stay in your trust. And that gives permission to bring that trust into manifestation, so that it reinforces that trust. Yeah. To begin, it's like to be in joy, to feed joy, gives permission for Spirit, because if Spirit feeds on your joy, it's going to bring you more experiences to, you know, to experience joy. Just like when you like to nurse your suffering, you know, become the victim, you're feeding your darkness. The universe is going to honor that, and you're going to, you know, the darkness is going to want to bring you more darkness to feed and support that, because that's your will, that's your choice, that's the choice you've made. So it is our responsibility, if we truly want sovereignty, we want to rise above the structure, which this is what Spirit told me through all the jail processes is, no, you're not here to change anything, not fix anything. You're here to rise above it. That's what ascension is. That is what evolution is. It's called, you know, rising to a higher awareness, a higher perspective, a higher form of thought and belief, of expansion. So I would be humbled by security guards and whatnot every now and then, and this is how Spirit would test me, how I would handle the rejection of what I expected to get. I mean, you got to set expectations aside. I mean, it's practice. And as I'm talking to you, you know, Spirit's listening to me, and it's going to hold me to every one of these words that I'm talking with you, because the last interview I did, I got greeted with those shit-eating grins that I talked about by the cashiers, and because it's true. I mean, it's like you find yourself with those other fifth dimension. It's like as I walk affixed to this fifth dimensional grid that's about a foot underneath the surface of the planet. As I come near somebody, they are also activated in that fifth dimensional consciousness. And maybe I'm greeting that fifth dimensional aspect of myself, where we live in that world, you know, free of that fiat currency exchange. And it's just, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how it occurs. I don't pretend to know. I'm just throwing some thoughts out there how it works. I just do as I do and be as I be, because these are this is how I've been guided. So I go where I'm guided, and I be as I'm guided, based upon my interpretation of the documents that defended, you know, kept the lawyers off of me, but that I embody this factualized trust. A factualized trust is the embodied trust. You know, it's the individual who actually lives it and breathes it, and detaches wholly from the monetary system. No, if somebody offers me $20, I'll use it to get something I would like to have. Like maybe like I'd like to buy a cup of coffee at the coffee shop, or I would like to get to have something or treat myself to something that I don't need. Spirit does, I'm not given permission to just go grab anything I want. Okay. Spirit will orchestrate things and point you to through signs, or, if you have a good communication with Spirit, it will tell you, go get yourself this or that or whatever in some way. I'll find a label on the ground, Patagonia, and there'll be a store Patagonia right there. I'll walk into the Patagonia store and I'll pick up a couple T-shirts and a long sleeve shirt to protect me from the sun. And the guy will help, give me a key to get into the dressing room and help me out and everything. And then I'll just walk right out this, right by the cashier, because I walk out the door with the trees. And it's like, what gratitude. It's like, wow, this is like a whole strange new world. And it's like, this is my path of embodying, I do what I do, and I'm not telling anybody to do as I do. Do as you're guided to do within you, whatever resonates with you, because I wouldn't want anybody to get in any trouble doing what they're doing. You need to know who you are. You need to embody that awareness and practice living that awareness, being what you wish to see in your world, because there's where your true power comes in, because the universe will reflect that dream back to you as you speak it into your world and as you be it in your world. I speak my creation and into being by being and doing. And then it reflects it back to me. And you are a part of me. We are all playing an integral part in this transformation of this whole sphere that we embody. And all of us, my parents played a part, my sister's playing a part, everybody's playing an integral part of the whole, and nobody has to go through what I go through. Everybody has their own gift of, these people who can channel the higher frequencies or are touching things within me, which tell me or give me permission to go ahead and do and be. Affirm what I already knew within me. I just needed this little affirmation that came through that resonated, that says, oh, I get chills coming through my body. It's like, okay, that's a go. That's how I just read things. So Spirit stops me at the grocery store in Avalon. I spend a month in the summer solstice in the 33rd parallel in the Avalon of the Catalina Island, where the story of King Arthur, King Arthur went to heal himself after all of his wounds from battle. Well, it was so apropos for me because I had been through all the battle, and I'm in heaven out there on the island, on the beaches, just enjoying everything, walking into the grocery store, getting what I need, sleeping on, actually I slept under my own willow tree on the golf course they have out there. Me and the deer and the animals, we had our own little community right there. It was the most beautiful experience. None of the golf course attendants would stop by and bother me. They kept on driving by, and they have all these signs out there, private property and all this stuff. You know what? I don't have to abide by the rules. I don't consent to it. No, and Spirit knows I don't consent to it. This world is my oyster. This is my island.
Darn it. I'm going to do what I want. That's right.
So I'm meeting all these great people and, having a great time. And then all of a sudden, I get stopped at the grocery store, and they tell me, what are you doing? Are you going to pay for that? And I'm all, no, you want me to put it back? I was, yep, just set it right here. So, okay, I set it there. It's like, wow. It's like, okay. So I went to the other grocery store, get food. Well, it took a couple of times of that before it, finally rang in my noggin here, because everything had been going so smooth for a while.
Right.
You got to be prepared for whatever comes your way and go with the flow. And well, the next thing I know, I'm I'm going through this process of resisting what the guy at the grocery store is telling me, and I keep on walking, and I walk out with my salad and keep going, and it's like next thing I know, the sheriff, arrest me, and they took me into jail, and of course I refused to sign everything, and I'm thanking them for, I'm kind of getting the drift here now. It's time for me to go.
Yeah.
It's like, they're starting to book me and everything, and and I'm not signing anything because I don't sign anything because that gives consent, and I don't do that in 3D. I don't play in that game. So I just say no, thank you, and I trust you. So, well, you want to sign this piece of paper saying you don't want to sign this? I said, no, it's okay, thanks. It's like, you want to sign this bond and we'll release you and you can go, you can go and all this. No, I don't want to do that. Well, then we're going to have to transport you to LA County Jail then, because that's LA County. Yeah. I said, well, I trust you. And next thing I know, they come back, well, you're free to go. But we want you to leave the island. Come back tomorrow and we'll give you a ticket to get off the island. So they pay my way to get off the island.
Perfect.
It was like, okay, so you just go with the flow.
Right.
And I just trust that I go wherever Spirit wants me to go. And I, whatever level of communication it occurs, I can't know. I don't know. I just do and be as I do, and in love, in a state of acceptance or allowance. And nothing can touch me.
Yeah.
Nothing can touch you if you stay in that state of, it's when we go into resistance that the resistance strengthens, that we resist persists.
Yes.
So I get kicked off the island. I end up, they want me on the next boat. And the next boat happens to be the one going to LA, which is the last one I wanted to go to. I want to go back to Laguna, but you know what? I'm not here to do what I want to do, what my ego wants me to do. I'm going where Spirit, I'm surrendering to the one that we are, to go to make this bond. I need to follow its directive because it knows better than I.
Mm-hmm.
See, we all have our own ideas on what we think. Right. We got to get out of the way of ourselves and let our higher self come through. And I trust in that. Yeah. In fact, I'm so freaking excited about where it could go. I mean, I don't know where it could go because I just got this little 3D mind. I let go of that. I just trust. So I go to LA and I'm around the campfire in San Pedro that night, and some guy comes up to me and we start having a conversation, and everything's resonating, and it's like, this guy's throwing papers into the fire like he's burning up his past. And he's all, you mind if I burn my papers in the fire? It's like, this is a ritual. And he's talking about going up to Portland. And I'm thinking, whoa. I mean, it's like God telling me to go to Portland. I mean, this whole conversation is like resonating. So I'm like, this guy's going up with some buddies in a car and driving, and he didn't invite me. I don't invite myself because, I trust that they're going to invite me if it's meant to be, and I just allow it to happen if it's going to happen. So, the guy says it's time for him to go, and I found myself a place to sleep on the beach and woke up. The next morning I went out and just started walking to the first bus stop, and I figured if the bus driver picks me up, it's where I'm supposed to go. So sure shit. First bus driver picked me up, no questions asked. Find my way to the Greyhound, because I just Google how am I going to get to Portland. So I'm going to start heading that way, and the Google points to Greyhound bus. It's like, cool, I'll give that a try. Sure enough, You got to buy a ticket, and I can't buy tickets any place. In fact, no one can buy me a ticket. If you wanted to fly me to California, you couldn't fly me to California because I don't have an ID unless Pier wanted me to go to California. I don't have an ID to enter onto an airplane or to buy a ticket or to buy a bus ticket. I mean, I can't go anywhere without the direction of Spirit or with Spirit carrying me, kind of like Fly like an eagle. The song says, let my spirit carry me. So being completely empty of the attachment to 3D, like I need to have an ID that separates myself from all my other selves. The name is what separates us, or a fixation with the name. I mean, I am the we are. So detaching from that is like, okay, I stand in line with everybody else. The guy's asking everybody for tickets, they're loading luggage and everything, and the guy turns away and looks the other way, and it's just like, so I just walked on and got on, and here we go. Next thing I know, I'm in Sacramento for 4th of July, state capital of California for 4th of July. It was beautiful. It was great. And I travel the light rail. I get on and off the light rail. I get on and off the buses to go, when I was in Santa Monica for months, and everywhere I went, I could travel for free to go, I go to UCLA campus and hang out in the gardens across the street, and go to I went to the Museum of Natural History and walked right in and got to view all the dinosaurs. And I mean, it's like, wow. This is the gift of spirit. I mean, and it's buried right in here in every one of us. And every once in a while we'll get these treats, and so I ended up in Sacramento, and then it was time to go again. I got the signs like grocery store didn't want me to pick up foods. The police come and they want to do a background check on me, make sure I'm not some kind of criminal or anything like that. It's like, fully cooperative, like he's my brother, and you're all clear to go. We'd like to see you not do this again. I get the hint. Thank you very much. And Spirit knows I got the hint. So off I go to Greyhound bus station again and see where the big dog carries me. Next thing I know, I'm in Portland.
Wow.
And so I'm in Portland for a little while, and I'm sitting in a park one day and having my dinner, eating a salad and having my juice, and two ladies walk up, out of nowhere, because this is a very solitary journey. You're by yourself. So when somebody comes to you, it's an omen. You better be receptive to hearing the signs, the pointers they're about to give you. This woman asked me where this museum was, and I'm all like, well, I'm sorry, I'm not from here. I don't know where it's at. And so they continue moseying on, and I'm eating my dinner. And so I'm thinking to myself, gosh, when I'm done with my dinner, I'm going to check out where that museum is. I find this museum is in like Columbia, Missouri or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And then I thought of Columbia, and then I thought of British Columbia, Vancouver, Canada. There's a border, because I knew under the foreclosure of the corporate structures, all borders were declared, all corporations dissolved. That means no borders on this planet. All borders were dissolved. It's a matter of perception. When there's no corporation, no corporate structures, no borders, no limits, it's all one earth, all one people. I took at that moment, I thought, maybe my next place is Columbia. So I asked Spirit to help me, give me another sign here, because I can't see. Why would I go to Missouri? I can see the border though, because that's up the north coast, and that's up the coast. And sure enough, man, the next day, the Whole Foods shut me down. They wouldn't let me get my food. They kicked me out. So I go up the street to the next grocery store, which happens to be on the corner of Columbia and something else. Columbia and 10th.
Wow.
And I put two and two together, and here I knew Columbia is where I'm going to go. I'm going to try to go to next. So next time I was prompted, I wait for the promptings, because sometimes, the promptings don't come to go. I have to try, because it's better to have tried and failed than it is to not have tried and missed a window. Because I don't want to waste no time. I'm here to fulfill a mission, a purpose. I'm mission impossible. Anyway,
Mission Impossible. I like that.
Yeah, and it's how you interpret it. Nothing's impossible.
Yeah.
I am possible. Yeah. I'm possible. Yeah. We're all possible. Yeah. We're infinite possibility.
Possibilities. So, yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
So then I get on another bus and I sleep in the forest. I'm getting this thing where I'm totally grounding to the earth. I mean, it's the best bonding with the earth, in the forests and the beaches. I mean, the whole year I'm in like I'm never getting rained on. Never getting rained on. And it's just a beautiful thing. It's like, wow, cool. So we go, and I think I'm going to get to Vancouver. Well, the bus actually stops in Seattle, and you have to transfer. And I tried to transfer, and I couldn't transfer. So I hung out in Seattle for a while until I got the next prompting to go to Vancouver, because Spirit again wanted to test me, to work that, do that spiritual weightlifting, going, doing and being in each of these cities. Yeah. For whatever reason, I can't know. I just be. And so then I'm prompted to get on the bus. And this time, there's no Greyhound that goes. It's called the Bolt bus. It's a lightning bolt. And I'm thinking, oh, cool. I'm traveling the lightning bolt. I love the sign. Yeah, it's like, what a cool sign. I mean, I just like stoked. It's like, this is totally me. This is like, it's a totally different thing. And so sure enough, I got on the bus again, the same way as I always get on the bus. It's just like, walk right on. And we get to the border, and I don't know how the hell I'm getting across. It's like, I'm just trusting. Yeah. Just trusting. So what they do is there's 50 of us on the bus. We get off the bus. We have to take all of our luggage, which I hardly have any. I travel light. And we get in line. There's 3 border security guards inspection stations, and everybody gets called up, one at a time. And I'll go like, okay, Spirit, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. And all of a sudden I got this vision of me walking by like I do at the grocery store. That vision came to me, and it's like, how simple could that be? I'll give that a go. And sure enough, when they called the next person in front of me, I just followed right behind them and walked by these 3 guys, went to the waiting room and waited for everybody to go through everybody's baggage. And we got on the bus on the other side and kept on driving into Vancouver.
Wow.
And I get dropped off so I get dropped off in Vancouver. Gee, where am I going to go now? And it's like, well, the week before, a friend of mine, another guy by the name of Lawrence, but he goes by Lorenzo. He's been a partner on this journey with me, but kind of separate. He's on his. He crossed under the Lionsgate Bridge on a cruise up to Alaska just a couple days before I got there. Well, a few weeks before I got there. Well, that day I crossed the Canadian border was the Lionsgate, 8:30, the August 30th, which was 11/11.
Yeah.
So I went right to the Lionsgate on that day. I thought, well, that'd be fun. So I got on the light rail, and then I took a bus, and then I hiked through the Stanley Forest to the bridge, and I walked across the bridge back and forth to clear the bridge, for whatever reason, just because of this ritual thing I wanted to do on that date, because it was like, I was just high as a kite with Spirit that day, doing what I just did. And so I spent the next, I don't know how many weeks there in the Stanley Forest, bonding with the big, beautiful forest and the beaches there. Just when you got these giant redwood trees and going right up to the ocean, and and the mountains coming right out of the ocean. It's just a beautiful place to be. And I just was so grateful for the opportunity to be of service in this fashion, whatever, to me, it was a trip, literally and figuratively a trip into the unknown. Yeah. And then kind of the same thing happened there in Vancouver. Well, when it was time for me to go, they arrested me. I went to jail and immigration, and I went through the immigration process. And, I stayed in this big, as far as I'm concerned, it was a posh jail cell. I had my own TV and my own bed, my own desk, and I got fed much better food than you get in Orange County. And I had to just, but the day I got picked up was the day the storm came. And it was like a week-long storm thing. And I was kept there. And when I was brought out, they drove me to the border with all my things and dropped me off at the border with a nice new sweatshirt, courtesy of the jail, a red one, of course.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, love Canada. Rick's from Canada.
Yeah, it's beautiful. They're great people there. And, I got to sit down and meet some neat people at the coffee shops. And, took some great hikes and just chilled at the beaches. And, oh my gosh, I went to the homeless shelter because I really wanted a warm shower, because taking cold showers, it's just. Yeah. So I went to the shelters to go, do laundry, and because I don't have any money, right? I only figure the only way I can do laundry is really to, put the word out. And of course, the idea came go find out where their local shelter is, and you just talk to a local guy on the street, another guy like me. I'm home free. I call it home free instead of homeless. It's I got more of a positive connotation to it because I don't have any rent,
Yeah.
But I went to the homeless place, and they said, well, we, it costs $1. We'll give you one free shower and one free wash. Otherwise, we can give you a membership card for $1. I said, well, I don't have any money. So I took that as a hint, like maybe this, maybe it's almost time for me to go, or time for me to go. That's okay too. I'll accept whatever. Or I said, well, would you be willing to, donate $1 to somebody? Well, I don't have $1. I said, okay, I'll take that as a sign. I'm not going to judge the guy. He doesn't have $1. Yeah. So what? It's like, okay, take it for what it is. It's a higher language, no judgment. Just take everything, be in a state of acceptance, and you just go with the flow. And the next thing I know, I was arrested and went through and I went into the courts to the Canadian courts, and I got to share my wisdom in the courts and with their counselors, of course, too. And I share my story with them, and I said, I'm sure you have cameras where it's not like I snuck across the border. I did it in plain transparency. I don't believe in borders. It's a construct. I'm going to share with you that everything is held in place by our belief.
Yeah. Yeah.
That by our strength and belief, it is held. And when I tell them I don't ascribe to that script of borders anymore, they can ridicule me, they can laugh at me, they can smile at me like, oh, and they make their comments in court like to belittle me, like, he's found God or spiritual, they make all these things make the audience, make me sound like I'm crazy and all that stuff. It's like, you just go with it. It's just smile and take it for whatever it is. It's like, I understand from their perspective, they can see me as a wacko. Mm. But I told her, I says, hey, look, I'm sure you have cameras there at your border. I mean, you could look at your cameras and see that I did it in complete transparency. It's not like I snuck by anybody, or, you got all my goods. It's not like I brought anything to this guy. It's like, but, that's third dimensional thinking.
Yeah.
But, and that's the patterns I've been working on within myself, is to step out of those thought patterns, because we've been so conditioned, I'm 56 years old, living in this earth for so long, to this way of thinking and responding, that I'm trying to, to break free of that and rise up to a higher language or higher interpretation. So I can share an interpretation from the 3D perspective, and then also share from a higher perspective, where it's almost impossible to share by language because it's paradox. Mm-hmm. You keep turning back in on itself, and it's a weird place to be. But it's all perfectly imperfect for a perfectly good reason.
Yeah.
So I was thrown out of the country. Just time for me to, Spirit wanted me to move south again. So I did. And I dropped off in a border town. Next morning, I knew a bus was leaving to go south at 5:30. I thought I'd head towards Seattle. And sure enough, the bus driver let me on the bus, and I'm headed down where I think I'm going to Seattle, and I get dropped off in, I don't know, another town, and I spend a week or two there. I'm going to the Whole Foods and getting the foods I need. I mean, I don't pay attention to prices. I pay attention to the food that this body needs, and I just get what I need when I need it. And so price doesn't matter. I can pick the purest of the pure and the goodest of the good, and feed this body what it needs and honor it, and, as the instrument that it is, so that it becomes a finer tuned instrument, or one that lives a long life.
Yeah.
Treat it as I would wish to be treated, because it's a part of my creation.
Yeah.
So I pick the best foods I can get in the circumstance I'm in, and in the place I'm in, because I can't always find a Whole Foods type store. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was sleeping underneath a bridge abutment there quite comfortably. That storm that it came through that blew me out was still kind of blowing over. It was never, it would rain. And this one morning, the public was doing a cleanup on a Saturday or a Sunday morning, and they were picking up there. And they said, you can't sleep under here. The police will be by here, and they'll. So it was raining that morning, so I went right to the train station. I said, heck with it. And I thought, I'm going to try to go south. I want to get out of this rain. Yeah. I took it as a sign. I got to the train station, and the next train going south was coming at 9 o'clock. And there's this, this is a small town. So this old couple was actually, they must lease the coffee shop in the train station, because it's just an old couple, and it's this cute little place. And I walk in there, and I don't have any money, and but I do have bags of tea in my bag. And I said, "Can I have a cup of hot water?" A lot of places say you got 60 cents for a cup, and no, I don't have 60 cents for a cup. Well, what she did? She grabbed a little coupon off of her door. She says, here's somebody wanted to pay it forward for you.
Oh.
So she gave me a cup of hot water, and then the next thing, I'm sitting down, and the song comes on the radio, and it says, "Come on and take a free ride." And I crack it up. Sure shit. I get on the train, and I get to ride down the coast on the train.
Oh. Amazing. So,
yeah, it was like, wow. And then, of course, the bus attendant comes. He asks for my ticket and says, "Sir, you're going to have to get off at the next stop." And I says, "Fair enough. You can't do this. Can you come up here?" And you know where they took me? They took me up to the ultimate car, where you got your own tables, the biggest windows. And it's like, this is like the upscale lounge,
right,
where I'm waiting for the next stop. It's like, oh, this is cool. So I get off at the next stop, and the next stop is another little small town. I forgot the name of the little small town. These are little small towns. Oh. I go to the coffee shops. That's my hangout. I get on the internet, charge my phone up, and hook into people. And oh, I lost you. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Oh, did I blink out on your side? Nope, I'm here.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you see me? Uh-oh. Let me see. I don't know if I'm here.
I'm going to log out and log back in, I think, because I think I lost you.
Oops. Okay. Sorry, guys. Hey, thanks for hanging in, you guys. Thanks for all your comments, too.
Hello.
Thank you, everybody. You there? I was here. I must have just blinked off your screen, but we were here.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, I stopped at a coffee shop, and I don't know, this guy sitting next to me, I have my wireless headset on, and he's asking me what those are. So I tell him, it's like, it was kind of odd, and I keep that in my mind. It passes. An hour later, I see this homeless kid over here, and I can tell he's homeless. And anyway, he walks over, and he throws these headsets out in the trash, and I knew I had this extra pair of headsets that I had found, and I saw him. He threw his headsets out, so I offered him my pair of headsets, and next thing I know, this guy's offering to buy me a ticket to San Diego on the bus. And I thought, and I thought to myself, you know what? I let my spirit carry me. If spirit wants me to go, I will go there. But you know what? If I go with this, I could be taken into harm's way. So I kindly thanked the young man and said, "Thank you anyway. But I'm gonna let my spirit carry me when I need to go, how I need to go."
Huh. Wow.
And there was a time there where I thought I did the right thing. And I left and came back, and we met again, and he's all, "You sure about this? You sure?" I says, are you gonna be back here tomorrow morning? I says, "Yeah, I'll probably be here in the morning. If you want to check back with me, I'll stay open to it. I'll check in with myself and see how I feel. But right now, as I feel, it's like, I thank you very much. You don't have to pay me." He didn't have the money then anyway. He said he's going to have the money tomorrow. He's going to have. He says he's the money man. He's got thousands of dollars, coming tomorrow. I says, "Well, thanks anyway." And so, and then I thought to myself, after I did that and let the guy go, I had this remembrance of, "Come on and take a free ride."
Right, the song.
It dawned on me later, and I was like, "Oh shit!
Down the coast."
That was. Is it? Do I go or do I not to go? To go or not to go? And it's like, oh well, either way, it doesn't matter, because I know I'll be carried wherever I need to go when I need to go. So I just moved into that state of acceptance. Well, I said, you know what? He'll show up tomorrow morning, and I'll tell him I'll accept it. If he doesn't show up, then I wasn't meant to be, and I made the right choice. Well, he never showed up, and I says, I accept that. So it's all good. Well, I found myself a nice place to sleep, and slept there for 2 nights before I realized there was a bus stop that actually picks up a bus that goes to Seattle from this town. So I went ahead and went to the bus stop, and the bus driver let me on. And I ended up downtown at the same time. This was a double-decker bus. I'm sitting on the top deck of the bus taking a nice drive, and it was like so cool. And ended up back in Seattle, hanging out in the parks in Seattle for a little while, and before being prompted to go south again. And it's like boom, boom, boom. I got the signals down. I got the language down. I got the workings of the spirit, trusting in the one within all, to just go with the flow. And I'm getting better every day at it. And that's where I find myself today. Is I'm no burden to anyone. I can provide for myself. Actually, spirit provides for this instrument. I'm not singular in any way, and yet I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm one of many, and we're all in this together, and we're doing this together. And I thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for being there for me, whether it's, for whatever form of guidance that the gifts that you have, and your guidance and your awareness that have come through, that have strengthened me, to give me the courage to do the things that I do for the sake of all that we are, because I'm no greater than or less than anyone. Yeah. This happened to just be my journey that I had, had created for myself through my own belief, through my own intention, that right. Anelia Benz, and I'm ever grateful for her. She was my first trickster, and then Heather Antucci Giraffe with the One People's Public Trust was my second trickster. But if not for the trick of catalyzing me to move me in that direction, right. I would never have made the decisions to go into it, because I would have, had I known what I known, you can't know what you're going to go through, or you would never do it.
That's right. That's right.
So if I can offer any advice, based on my experience of all the darkness that I've been through, all the fear that I've purged from my body, from my being, is to just abide by that trust within you. That One People's Public Trust issued $10 billion of pre-1933 gold value into each and every human being on the planet, man, woman, and child. That's the amount of value that we've created over the eons on this planet, is now being redistributed evenly throughout all we are. You have known how much money is held in derivatives and in the upper echelons of wealth, and in the secret space programs, and all this stuff has been created by you and I, and all that value and all those assets have been pooled back into a reservoir available for the asking for each and every one of us when we're ready to let go of the constructs or limitation held in the 3D paradigm, which is leaving us as we speak, and it's asking us to let go of those shores. The sooner we let go, the sooner we all, as we build in strength, we reach that threshold of like the 100th monkey effect, and we push over that threshold, and we shift. And I feel like I'm doing and being the best I can be in my place with what the only thing I'm in control of is what I do. I can't do anything out there. So I do what I do within me, trusting that it's going to be reflected back to me as I've been guided to step into the awareness of. So in that One People's Public Trust, I'm here to tell you that each of us has, imagine the dollar then,
right,
having $10 billion in gold then, what it's worth today. Oh my gosh. You can't spend it. So what that's telling me, or what it tells me, is that we have access to infinite abundance.
Yes.
When we need it.
Whatever.
And how it comes about. We just have to trust in the universe, because it has to do its thing to orchestrate that we come together to form this, whatever we're creating, this new reality that we're creating. Right. They kind of already exist. Because there's this, Star Wars already exists. All the technologies in Star Trek and all that stuff, that stuff already here. Yeah. And that's innate technology built within our own cellular technology. We don't need to pay for cell service. We don't need to pay for internet. We have it within us. There is what this is referred to as the sovereign integral network. which is the original sin. Well, I've been guided into, the awareness of the original trust that was created for all of us is the original creation. And that's what we're kind of going back to the beginning or back to the future. It's just like weird, hard to explain, but we're bringing the future into the present. Or bringing that future self or higher self into the present by opening up and allowing it to move into or we're drawing it down into the earth with us by, setting fear aside. Because in this new place we're going, it's only love. Love is the only currency accepted by the Almighty Awareness, and it's called unconditional love. That means love of the dark that presents itself because it's a lesson. Yeah. There's always a gift in the presence of another. I don't care what it is. It's, if you judge it to be bad, so shall it be reflected back to you as such. I mean, you'll be honored in that judgment. Yeah. So as we judge others, so shall we be judged. It's like a mirror. Our universe is mirroring back to us what we are within. So as I see, so shall it be. Yeah. See, I have this knowing within me of this beautiful thing that you and I are creating together. And the one that resides in the midst is the one that said to me, together, we will change everything. Yeah. Separate? That's the one common denominator between us all, is that same essence that flows through, eternal essence that flows through every one of us is there, just waiting for you to acknowledge it and to nurture that relationship or that bond with it so that you can become so much more than just a human. Yeah. Or a third dimensional human. You become a multi-dimensional. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so beautiful.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Well, it's so beautiful. Wow. Oh my gosh. Like it was just so amazing and just so beautiful. And I'm just so honored. I just, it's such a pleasure to interview all of you and just to have this truth and these awakenings and the reality and the vulnerability, the transparency. It's just, it warms my heart. And I know all the people that are viewing, there's so much love, you guys. They have so much love. I just feel so blessed, and you're right. We're all in this together, all of us together.
Oh, we are the strongest of the strong, and we were the chosen ones. Everyone on this earth right now were the strong. There was billions of us that didn't get to come here for this. Yeah. So I've been told. Yeah. So you're the strongest of the. We're all the strongest of the strong to do this together for the sake of all we are. There's no one left out or left behind.
Yeah. No, not at all. Yeah.
No.
So I want to, we have somebody, do you want to do a question and answer?
I'd be happy to.
Okay, because I had some questions, but maybe those are questions. I mean, I have a whole list of questions here as you were speaking from the very beginning, but I feel like it would be great to open it up to questions. So you guys, this feed goes really fast. So if you do ask a question, let's do one question at a time. That way he can answer it. And then I can get to the next question because it'll just keep feeding up, and then I'm afraid I'm going to miss somebody's question. So, thank you, Rosalind. So, Matthew, I know you were saying, do we have any questions? Can we do Q&A? So if anybody has a question for Lawrence, just throw it here, not throw it here, but type it up on the feed, and I will bring it up to Lawrence, and he can see that. I'll wait for a question, and then so I will ask my question. Let's see. Yeah, there's no questions yet. So in the very beginning, when you were talking about, well, I don't know if this is a question. Oh, okay, so there's a question. Care to share more on the quantum financial system? Would you share more on that?
Sure.
Okay, and that's from Don. Thank you, Don. Great question.
Okay. You and I, each of us is energy. And each of us has an energy frequency, a signature that is who we are. And it's that signature, our energy vibration, our connection, that bond with that spirit, that connection with spirit that actually pays our way, that higher dimensional. I mean, it's like when I tell you that I go into the grocery store and I have access to all I need, it's because I've been through what I've been through to gain access to what I need. Spirit provides it for me. So I'd have to say that that is the. It's like you got to attach to the fifth dimensional grid. You got to let go of the 3D so that you can be filled with new information, new light, new frequencies that will permit access to the fifth dimensional quantum financial system. In other words, so you've got to step into your trust by letting go of the false narrative or the fiat currency of money to gain access to the infinite flow of abundance flowing through the true currency called love, held in the fifth dimensional frequencies, or the grid of the planet. So it's only by your releasing, you're letting go of the old or surrender to the old, that the new can come in. That's been my experience. If anybody can tell me another way to I wouldn't know another way, because that's the only way I know that I have access to that value to provide what I need in the current moment, until I get guided into a situation where maybe I get guided into a project or something. I don't know, or introduced to a technology that's been coveted where I could distribute it through the world or something. I don't know what's to come. I'm just, like I say, I'm just in limbo until the next prompting to go wherever I need to go to do and be. But I will tell you, from my interpretation of my experiences, we cannot be filled until we become empty. You're a vessel. So you got to pour that vessel empty before it can be filled with new, higher frequencies. You're holding through to the construct. You got to have a bank or a bank account. Why don't I have access to my trust account, my Treasury Direct account? I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for that as well. To be perfectly honest, I wait and wait and wait and wait for that, so that every other person that's out of work doesn't have to go through the strife and struggle, or go through the learning that I had to go through to gain access to the quantum. I don't know how it's going to come about. All I can tell you is what my experience has been. I don't want to tell you to wait, because I have this thing that tells me that something grand and great is coming as of this president. That the government shutdown, all the warrants, or the changes, the dissolution of the gross over government, and all this, taking the Fed and the IRS out of the equation, and how all this comes about, I don't know. I have my trust. I sit back and I enjoy the show from my place of neutrality, without judgment. I don't believe that this wall's ever going to get built. I think it's almost like a false flag event to create. He's got to use the false flags himself to trick the tricksters. I don't know. I really don't care. I don't pay attention to that.
Yeah.
I don't even want to look back anymore. I don't, because to look back, you know, I look back on it upon reflection. I gaze upon it to see progress, you know, to see signs of hope to share with others who don't see from my perspective.
Yeah.
But the quantum system is I think will be fulfilled. I don't know if there's a blink of the eye in time and all of a sudden our reality changes. I mean, I really, you know, I can fantasize all kinds of things, but I just waited. I waited for too long, and I just like, no, I'm going to start grabbing for it and, you know, taking it back because nobody's going to give it to me. Right. It's like, wow, because I've been guided through the courts and through all this stuff to come into that realization that money's a control. It's the glue that holds the enforcement agencies of the old structure and the old script together. Mm-hmm. And so until I was willing to let go of it, nothing new could be created. You know what I mean? Nothing new could be created.
Yeah. So let's say you had $10,000 in the bank. So are you saying just letting that go?
No, I'm not. Don't. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying follow your own guidance. If you find the world, you know, like your back is up against the wall, the bank is garnishing your funds and kicking you out of your house, you know, I'm telling you that's an agreement you have with your higher self. So and I can share with you from my experience that is your higher self guiding you through your phase of letting go, or your time to let go. Because if everybody let go all at once, who would pick up the trash and, you know, farm the crops? And, you know what I'm saying? It's like, this is a coordinated cooperation by the
divinely orchestrated.
It's divinely orchestrated by the one between you and I. So I don't know how it's going to go. You know, baby steps. You know, I'm sure. You know, there are those who, you know, it's like Heather made it easier for me. Mm-hmm. Heather's in prison right now as a result of what she's doing, but she's also the eyes and the ears of the universe. You know, because each of us is a focal point for the one, a data processing center, a data receptor center, transmitting to the one.
Yeah.
And so she's in the depths of the deep, dark structure, transmitting and receiving what's going on behind the scenes. And she's doing her thing in her way.
Right.
But she gave me the words that allowed me to see, so that I can step in and do what I do here. So now, however, you know, it's like each of us is a little piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
To the whole thing. I mean, it's like Trump is one of those cards being played also.
Yeah.
You know? So,
love it. Yeah. So true.
I mean, I don't pretend to know. I just be and share what I do, and I don't tell anybody to do as I do. But other than, you know, I can suggest that you know, quit looking to redo the 3D thing. I'm going to tell you right now, in the foreclosure, the Constitution is null and void. Okay, that's a construct. That's a contract between the signers of that contract. By law, it's nothing. And it, just as well as the Bible, has been distorted and perverted over the years and turned into, I mean, certain amendments of the original the organic Constitution have been pulled out and other ones put in or usurped. So the whole thing's been turned into us consenting to a slavery system, really. And which is the original formation of, you know, back then, you know, during the times of Moses, every 50 years there was supposed to be a jubilee that occurred where all the slaves were set free and all the debt was released, and we were to start over every 50 years. Well, if you go back 50 years from 2012 and you keep going back, you're going to see first Kennedy's assassination. Then you're going to
Yeah.
see Civil War, and then you're going to see the 1812, and then you're going to see every time there was a false flag event created to keep us from ringing that cracked bell.
Not anymore.
You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah.
It didn't go. The thing was the timelines were, really it got really evil and really dark the way it was going, and that's when I saw what I saw. It's like I had nothing to lose. It's like I might as well die at least trying to fix it. Right? It's like I let go of everything. I was blessed with not having responsibility of children or a wife at home, family at home. I'd already been through all that. And in the place I was at, I'd already had all I could ever have. I had a multi-million-dollar business that I let go of because it was boring. It was like wasn't fulfilling. There was something missing.
Right.
And like I knew if I could let go of this that I created out of nothing, I could do something even greater after all the experience and the wisdom that I developed building that business. It's like I could do it over again. I thought if I let go of this, I've been guided to let go of it, so I'll trust. Well, I thought the whole long, I'll be guided to this new business. So I went through another business opportunity types of things. And every time Spirit was telling me, get out of the banks, get out of the banks, get out of the banks. You're not going to make any money. You're not going to make any money. And so it told me to get out of money. Right. It told me to let go of money. Right. So I'm not telling anybody else to do what I did. No, I'm not telling you to do that because a lot of you are in service today the way you can be in service to me and others. Yeah. By being just who you are in your place. You're in a perfect place. You're where you need to be now for whatever purpose. So I'm not telling you how to be or not to be. I'm just telling you my story. So if the doorway opens up or an opportunity presents itself or something resonant hits you, it's a seed that'll blossom within you and you'll know to go forward with it.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for answering that. And thank you, Don. Don says thank you too. Thank you, Lawrence. And then Matthew has a question. Lawrence, I am trying my best to exit myself from society and the banks, but we have cattle. And I can you send that back? Because I can't get to it. Wait. Here we go. Oh gosh. But he has cattle and farm, and he still need a guidance what to do with the cows or the land. Is his question. So he's trying to disconnect from society and the banks, but he has a farm, and he has cattle and a farm.
Wow.
And he still need a guidance. What do we do with our cows and our lands?
Well, I'm going to refer you back, to go within, and like I say, before you do I wouldn't have done what I'd done until I had already nurtured some kind of a bond with Spirit to where Spirit could give me those answers that, kind of like what you're asking me. I had already known I've been guided through, I don't know, the Kundalini rising, whatever kind of, that period of drama you go through where you got to reconcile all your karma. This happened between 2004 and 2009 or somewhere in that range for me. It took me a while to realize that I had this guidance going on to where it gave me the faith or the knowing of what I was to do within myself, because I didn't have anybody to ask. And to be honest with you, to ask anybody outside the self could hurt you. And I wish not to be a stepping stone on your way to, on your own journey, trip you up on your way. So I would say, follow your own resonance. If the world seems to be pushing you out, ask for help, and knowing and trusting that you're going to be given the guidance And hopefully in my sharing today, I give you ways in which to see how, the many ways in which Spirit speaks. Spirit speaks very clearly by language, through some people, through writing, through music, through poetry, through art, through other people, through nature. I mean, there's just so many. I mean, Spirit speaks in so many languages. It's not even funny. And that's why the Buddha would say, be ever so mindful of your experience. And in the Christian scriptures, they would say, be ready to transform the mind. And it's about really, I mean, having a lot of time to yourself and a lot of introspection. I can't give that kind of guidance to people. I'm not that kind of helper, except, hopefully what I shared tonight in my journey, if you run up against some things, it may help you to, instead of fighting it or resisting it, to learn how to ask Spirit to get to receive, because it's all in how we pose the question that we get the answer. Ask the question. Yeah, and seek, let's put it this way, knowing that love is always the answer, seek the love, ask for the love in everything that comes to you. If you have a question, ask for the love and it will be given. Before you go to sleep at night, ask. When you wake up in the morning that day, ask for signs. Be grateful for what you do have. I mean, just start nurturing this bond with the unseen part of yourself. And, that part of yourself wants to live vicariously through you, and it's going to be there. It's like rubbing its hands, waiting for you to talk to it and nurture this bond. So be ready, because it's there with that helping hand out there. Just remember that vision of the fly at the window. That hand's not coming to kill you. It's coming to shoo you out the opening in that window to your own freedom and joy. It's not been all fairy tales and joy, and I'm going to tell you, it's not. I mean, it's like it's work. It's not. I mean, you'll have high moments. You'll have lots of magical moments, but they're worth all the work. And you know what? It's through those fires that we forge the Spirit and strengthen the Spirit that strengthen you to become all that you can be. Don't look outside. Keep looking out there for your happiness and your joy. You know what? I trust that Spirit will bring that to me when I'm ready, not before. But until then, I'm married to this creation here. It's like, wow, it's a whole new world, and I'm just learning how to walk in it. So I'm no pro, and I'm still waking up. I'm still waking up. I don't think there's going to be any stopping. Right. Because we're basically starting over, and we're going to do it better. This time we're gonna venture out there again and start another. We're going to do it all over again, but we're going to do it from this. We're going to be the guides next time to our creation.
Well, what I hear you really, what you said throughout the show too, is by giving your own story, and this might help too, Matthew, is that you have really been saying is pay attention to the signs, like you were given the guidance. And so if the banks are wanting you to foreclose or things like that, then, just watch your signs, and like you said, it's trusting and it's having that guidance. And when the time is right for the separation, then we take it. I know in my own personal life, I resisted some of those things of disconnecting from, certain people or things. And then I had gotten so many signs, like you were saying in your own story, that I realized that, it was for my betterment, for me to cut those ties and to
I,
disassociate from that.
I can't answer him from a very simple perspective. If you're not if you do not enjoy what you do,
yeah,
that is a sign right there that says it's okay to let go and trust, so that you may follow your joy, because that's the guidance I've been given, is when the promptings come to follow your highest joy. That's it. That's the simple instructions I get, is follow every chance you get, follow your highest joy. Don't pretend to know how it's going to come and be open to everything, because if you have to figure out how to do it, you're going to limit your potential on how to get there. If you just trust in that, you put it out there to the universe and you say, okay, I trust you, and you just start going to that direction, things will start, like I say, when you take that leap of faith, that bridge starts to, is being built as fast as you can walk. Or crawl. If you want to crawl, Spirit will honor your crawling. I happened to take, the crash course, and I got beat up a little bit, but you know what? That's just my nature. I'm a thrill seeker. Plus, I had nothing to lose because I know I'm eternal.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, it's like after I, been through this, there's no fear. There's no fear. There's only love.
Yeah.
Just love now.
Yeah. I love that. Great answer. It's true. Just follow your heart. Your heart can never lead you wrong, and it is the truth.
Yeah. If you don't like it, you know what? You're going to manifest illness in the body, and you'll be taken out of the equation, so you can come back and do it over again sooner. But if you want to be here and you want to see this, in your body, you can. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to trust in this, that I can live for a long, long time, and I can be here to witness, bear witness, because that's really all I can be, is a witness. I'm not doing anything but witnessing and pushing doors open and allowing the Spirit to carry me and do all of what it does for this instrument to keep on this planet doing what it does. Because I think, each of us is like a cell receptor. We're receiving the new light as long as we're receptive receptors. And if we're in fear and constriction of anxiety and hating our jobs and stress and all this stuff, you know what? That light can't enter our being. It won't upgrade our DNA either, because the DNA constricts. Right. So it's not receptive to upgrades. It uncoils, and then the antennas are up there for the upgrades that we're getting every day now. So you move into your joy as quick as you can, because that illness or that resistance that you're fighting will take over the body and take you out. So go ahead and let go. You got nothing to lose, except what you don't like doing. I mean, really.
Well, I love what you said too. It's really about, when you ask Spirit, you will get the answer that you need. But it's just taking that time to stop and really pay attention to whatever signs. It could, like you said, there's so many signs always: a car, a sticker on the back of a car, a license plate, a song. I mean, there's, somebody says something, there's so many signs. So that's so beautiful.
Oh, yeah, I had a big old sign on the side of a bus come by me one day, and boom, that was a sign. I was like, whoa. I was like,
that was blatant. I know.
It's like magic, and so you're playing in a virtual reality game. With infinite potentials that can be changed, by the higher self who's directing the game. All I got to do, I'm the pinball in the pinball machine, and it's pushing the buttons that slap me around. Sometimes honestly, I felt like a pinball machine, like I was a ball in a box car getting bounced around. But that's how Spirit wanted to test my will and my courage, my will, and my commitment to what I was bonding to or committing to. Is like, these are your tests to see how far you're willing to take this, and you're willing to get off the train anytime you want to get off this. Otherwise, I'm going to keep carrying you. And you know what? I'm the kind of guy that just wants to keep going because I enjoy. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
this isn't boring. I'll tell you that. I mean, it can get boring. No, it can be solitude,
Yeah.
but there's excitement in anticipation of the unknown with the known. I mean, because I know what's coming. I mean, I know
Yeah.
heaven's coming. You know,
Yeah.
this, you know, this awareness where there's no more of this drama. There's no more of suffering. There's no more wars. There's no more slavery system.
Yeah.
That's all
Yeah.
done. We're just cleaning up and mopping up the mess right now. That's all we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Woo,
we're here
ready
to
to ride.
cleanse and purify. That's what we're doing right now. So
Yeah. Love it. Love it. We have another question from Christina. I'm a single mom with 2 kids. I share 50-50 custody with their father. I feel very trapped. I would love to take risks, but I have my kids to look out for and their father to oblige in order to keep my kids in my life. What about a situation like that when 3 other lives are at stake and part of my reality as well? Very good question. Thank you, Christina. Because somebody had asked earlier if you were a dad, so maybe that could kind of.
yeah, well, I am a father. I have 2 daughters. They're grown and gone. I'm actually a grandfather. So um, they're you know, they don't understand their father anymore. I mean, because I was this other guy. I was a normal human. You know, I was a normal good slave. A good. I did what everybody else did. Went to work. You know, had a job, paid taxes, did all that stuff. Raised a family, had a house, all that kind of stuff. And then I woke up and Lawrence went off the deep end. So, you know, they don't know what happened to their father. They think he, you know, just, you know, because the FBI went knocking on my kids' doors and, you know, and that scared them. I mean, my daughter had just gotten married to a new husband and new in-laws. And, you know, so she's all like, you know, I don't know what happened to my father. And so she doesn't even want me involved in it. You know, it's like, I've had to let go of that. And that's okay. I can still, I can love them from afar. I know who I am and I know who they are. And I love them, and I can understand from their perspective. My younger daughter understands me more because I think she's more of a star child. I mean, she gets me a lot more, totally a lot more. But and of course, my parents, my mom can't even have me around anymore because she's got a new boyfriend, and her new boyfriend only, you know, knows me from jail time. So I mean, it's like. You know, I've been pushed out. You know, again, it's I can't tell you what to do with your children. I would never do that. This is something, again, you have to ask yourself and follow your own guidance on and take responsibility for those choices. If I were to tell you something and you did it, then you'd have someone to blame. And it's like, you know, you don't want that. Because that's just going to keep you trapped in 3D. You have children, and it's okay to have children, but if you feel you're being pulled in this other direction, it's okay if your husband is, you know, if you feel that your husband. I mean, I felt that my wife was loved my children enough to do the business that I did and travel as I did. So I did what I did, knowing that I could trust that the love of their mother would be enough, you know. And so I made my choices, and so here I am, and I accept that responsibility. So we got to be open to that. And I'm not really, you know, again, I'm not an answer guy. I'm going to always point you back to yourself. You're your best guide and your best guru. Gosh, that's all I can say from here.
Yeah, I feel it goes. Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm going to say I'm there inside your heart with you.
Yeah.
Just go within there, and that one within you, of course, is through me, is just waiting.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it goes back again to what you were saying, really throughout the whole show. It's trust. We have to learn to trust our own. I feel that we know what we know, and within the heart of ourselves, in the depths of our soul, we really know what to do. I know when I was getting divorced, can I share my story? Because I think it might
Please
kind of
do,
help
yeah.
some other people. But I had a decision of leaving my husband after 21 plus years. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have 3 kids, being married for so long. And yet, in the depths of my soul, I knew what I had to do, but I had fear around what would I do? How am I going to, what am I going to, my kids, the youngest was 15 at the time. So it wasn't like they were small children, but I knew deep down inside what I had to do. But I had this fear of my consciousness of how am I going to how am I going to live without having my husband? I didn't have a job, and all this other stuff. And so when I did what you said, is really I went in and I was crying. Well, a lot of circumstances happened, which were divinely orchestrated. My grandfather passed away. I had to fly back to St. Louis, and I just prayed to God and said, please don't let my ex-husband have to come with me, because I had to make this decision. And he didn't end up coming because he had to stay home. So anyway, with all that being said, I was crying the night before I had to leave, and I was telling God, I said, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck here. And this voice came out of my mouth and said, you know exactly what to do. And it was the truth. That was the truth. I knew in my heart that I had to do that. And I just went through the same experience with my ex-husband. I was collecting alimony, and I kept wanting to disconnect from that, right? Because there was still this tie, this control, but I was still in fear. So I wasn't trusting God that he would lead me in the direction where I needed to go. And when I was laying in bed one night, I said the same thing. I said, God, I don't know what to do. And he said, do you remember that night that you laid there and you asked me when you had to leave him what you had to do? And I said, yes, I do.
We all too
and that
often
moment, right. And I knew what I had, but the fear keeps us from moving. And I'll tell you, since I've cut those ties, I am in so much freedom. So much freedom.
Yeah.
Yes, because there is a fear, but I'll tell you, it's just everything we're talking about is it's surrendering and letting go and walking out on faith. I quit my job June 30th, not knowing what I'm going to, do. And for me, this is my passion. This is my love, and so, and I know that he has a plan for each and every one of you. And it is for us, and what you've been just eloquently saying, Lawrence, throughout the whole show, is you've got to have that trust. Pay attention to the signs. When there's this this feeling of butting up of heads, and you feel that resistance, then right then and there, it's like, okay. And if we allow that fear, then we feed that fear, and we allow that to build. And as you said, where we are headed, there is no fear. It is all about the love. And I can still love my ex no matter what, because he's another human being, right? So it's just we weren't good marriage material. And so, but I still, it's like you just love, because it's they don't know what they don't know. I remember, Jesus saying as they were crucifying him, forgive them, Father, for they do not know, right? People don't know what they don't know, and they're still in that 3D paradigm and living in that that reality. And for all of that, you are joining the show today. Thank you, Matthew, and thank you, Rosalinda. For all of you guys who joined that show, you have to be somewhere in this, because you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't still be listening to this. You would have shut it off way before now, but you're still tuned in, right? So there's something within you that is drawing, that's keeping you in, that your soul is, your spirit is just like, yes, it's feeding you.
Yeah, we have a tendency to want to get the answer from the external, because this world teaches us to seek outside. See, originally we were one, and then we went we went through the separation, the divisions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's through the divisions of the disconnect with that trust that we, got to experience creation in separation. And so now we're trying to mend that trust back together, get that reconnection back into oneness. And there's only there is where the trust can be found is by taking responsibility. And then you become a sovereign integral in the network, because we're nodes on the network. You and I are nodes on the network. We're pointers to one another, whether it be the grocery store attendant or the police officer. Everything I do is against the law. So
their law, not the law of one.
Yeah, well, it is part of the law of one too, because
is it?
I accept that as a pointer. It's like a bumper in the pinball machine. It's like so I bump up against it. It steers me in a direction. Okay, is where I go, because I don't have this clear communication like some of these channelers do. And honestly, we're all channels. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what we are. We're a channel.
I agree.
But by asking other people, it relieves a lot of that responsibility. We shove that responsibility on somebody else. Well, he told me, or she told me to do this. My guru told me to do this, and or this says to do this, and well, it didn't work. So now I can blame them, and then we go to this other one. And you know what? As long as we keep casting blame, that's judgment. Judgment keeps us in suffering. Judgment perpetuates the wars. It perpetuates 3D. Step out of judgment. Mm-hmm. It's all love. It's all love.
Yeah.
All the shit you're getting is love. It's just saying, get out of that business. Get away from that man. Get away from that woman. Let that go. It's okay.
Yeah.
Because
and it goes back
to service. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, go ahead.
Well, I clung on to my marriage for a long time because of the children. It's like, you can rationalize, the brain can rationalize so much why you should stay together. But you know what? When you're toxic, you're not doing the children any good.
Right.
In fact, you're doing your physical body terrible things. And if you don't let go, one of you don't let go because the other one's not going to let go, then Spirit's going to take one of you out to save the other.
Yes. Yes.
That's what I figured out. I was going to have to be the one that let go because she wasn't going to let go. And it's like, I got to let go. It's like, well, that was the hardest thing I ever did. But that's taking responsibility. And that's what empowers you when you can muster up the courage. With the heart virtue of courage is extremely powerful. So what fear presents itself? Let it present itself.
Yeah.
That's what courage is for. You bring forth the courage and you can greet that fear and watch it just disintegrate into nothingness or fade off into the distance and see that it was just a shadow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it goes back to what you said earlier. If we knew that our path of our life, we would say, no, not doing this, not doing that. So, where you're at. Yeah, exactly. So we've said this in other shows too, that where you're at is where you're supposed to be. And wherever these experiences, who's being brought into your life, whether it be a husband, a job, a friend, or whatever, are there. They signed up and said, I'll help Linda go through that. I'll help Lawrence go through that, by doing whatever they do. Right. And so it's all a learning and a growth process. This is what my understanding has become. And just what you've been saying is that, that these experiences, that we have to experience these experiences in order to get to the other side. So, whatever we go through, right? And you're right. The universe has extracted me out of a marriage. It's extracted me out of a job. And so I look back on my life and I go, wow, all the major things that happened in my life, the universe took me out because I was not willing to do it myself. And so, until my relationship, then when I asked, but it's so true. If you don't do it, the universe is going to keep giving you signs, and then
And
one
the
day
signs are
you're just
going to
going
get
to
a little
go,
rougher.
all right, yes.
It's going to
Instead
get
of a 2x4, you're going to
you're going to get beat up
you're
on
going to telephone pole.
Yeah, you're going to get pushed, pulled, and
Illness.
dragged until you let go.
Or illness.
Let go.
Yeah. So, oh gosh, wow.
Trust. That's the one people's public trust. Trust in all the people.
Yeah.
People is plural for pupil. We're just going through rapid learning.
Yeah,
rapid
right now,
acceleration
especially.
of learning so that we can graduate into a universal community from an earthbound quarantine to a universal citizenship. Call it whatever you want to call it. But we're graduating into the grandest university of all. And to get in, tuition is free. Yeah.
And don't you feel too that, especially now since we are really ascending, so the Earth itself, the Schumann resonance and all that we are ascending so vastly fast that a lot of these things are going to a lot of these things are coming to the surface, right? For us to recognize, to make those heartfelt decisions that we know what is true for us.
Yes. Because your spirit, what happens is experience, all the blah, blah, blah and the book smarts and all the intellect is one thing. It's not truth until it becomes experienced. Once that experience occurs, it leaves an indelible imprint upon the spirit for eternity. And so that when we present ourselves in front of others, when we stand in their presence of others, that imprint is what telepathically communicates that experience. When I talk to somebody, they know it resonates as truth for me because I've been through it. It's not just, well, I was told this and this and this, and I had these documents and I did this and this and this, and this happened to me, but this guy did this. Well, you know what? Well, I understand. I can appreciate that. Your friends are still in jail as a result of that. I've had people with the One People's Public Trust say, it was all bullshit. That was just a scam. That was a trick. That was bullshit. And you know what? If that's what you see, so be it. The universe is going to, the universe just says, and so it is. Whenever you say something, the universe responds, and so it is. That's how beautiful the Creator is. Just so you know. So try to see it. Maybe you're just interpreting it the wrong way. And you need to see it from a new perspective, a positive perspective, a higher perspective. Because I'm here to tell you, there are no borders for moi. Because I am now in the hands of Spirit, and Spirit can carry me wherever I need to go for whatever reason I need to go. I'm just hoping it's to say some sunny beach someplace and some,
Connect to the earth, right?
But I'm sure it'll be all kinds of wonderful places and beyond. I'm trusting in that because I'd like to become, truly, as much as I can be, I want to be Superman. I want to be, I want to fly free. And freedom is relative to the eye of the beholder. It really is.
Gosh.
It's like freedom is relative. And people want to talk about, so many people in this country think we live in a free country. And I call bullshit on that. Really? Well, I got some oceanfront property on Nevada.
Well, oh my gosh, Lawrence, it's been such a pleasure. We're scheduled at 3 hours, and so I'm afraid that we're going to be cut off at the third hour, and I don't want to be cut off because I want to just really. It's just been so wonderful. Really, thank you so much for sharing yourself, sharing your heart, your truth. Again, the transparency, the vulnerability. It's just been really a pleasure, and it's just been wonderful to hear. And I think that I feel, your story, everyone's story, really connects people, and it just it helps other people to see, the truth and the reality of what really is happening. So I thank you so much. Thank you for being willing to be up on the show.
I'm honored, and I thank you. I thank you for having me. It's a joy to share. It really is. It gives me great joy.
Thank you
Good
so
things
much.
are coming. Good things are coming.
Yes.
We
That's so
are
true.
doing this. We are doing this.
We all are in this together. And you guys, everybody that's joined today, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. We really love you. We appreciate you. All your beautiful comments, the questions. And I know if there was any other questions we didn't get to, I'm so sorry. I'm sure we'll have Lawrence on again. So if he's willing to do that, it would be wonderful. So yes, and they all love you and said thank you as well. So
thank you. It's my honor.
So
thank you. Good night.
Thank you, guys. Thank you again. And you guys can watch the replay. It'll be on YouTube. So everybody that's going to join us on YouTube and on the replay, we love you too. And thank you so much for joining us. And so we'll see all of you later, and love you. All right. Bye.